Hey, you guys. I love bumping to the little. That's how I dance for real, y'all. And I'm not embarrassed by it one bit.
She's not lying.
That's it. That's all you got. Hi, you guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Let's introduce our panelists for tonight. We have our guest panelist, Miss Tan. Our panelist, Mistaken. At Tanya Yvonne, who used to be T-Bomb. A T-Bomb is a thing of the past. Our guest, Ricky Williams. Our panelist, Cece.
Hey.
And another guest, Thinking Man Ken. Hey, y'all.
Hey, what's going on? How y'all
Thank you.
I feel discriminated against. Can I get a round of applause?
That was everybody. It was like, thank you, darling. Thank you.
I got you, CC.
My name is Shantae, not to be confused with Shantae, and this is a Chic critique. Yay! That's my background. Thanks, Ricky. For nothing. Crickets. I'm joking.
I'm new here. My bad. I'm new here.
It's okay. I'm used to it. So tonight we are talking about sleeping with the enemy. Yes, some of you guys are sleeping with the enemy. You just don't know it yet. You'll find out maybe a year from now. But we're going to give you all the information you need to know so that when you're cozied up because it's getting cold outside, you're trying to find that boo. We want to make sure that they're really there for you. Not for what you can do for them, but what you can do for each other. I'm sorry, I'm on one. I just woke up. I took a nap. All right, you guys. How was your week?
It was good. I had a good week. How about everybody else?
I had a good week too. Traveled a lot, but it's a good week.
Cece always traveling. Let's be nice.
Listen, I will be home.
So jealous. I would have
Don't
traveled.
Don't be jealous because some of my travel is not fun. Right now, I'm in Orlando. Not fun.
You're out of town right now? Oh.
I didn't want to miss 2 weeks, Shantae. It's the dedication. I didn't want to miss 2 weeks. So I packed my ring light. I made sure that I wasn't going to miss 2 weeks in a row.
Thank you. You did my Alabama move. That's what I did when I went to Alabama twice in a row. Anybody else have a great week they want to share with us before we get into this?
Mine's just been busy. Work. Same.
Okay, that was better. Did y'all not see that kind of twerk? I'm getting a little better.
Listen, you excited tonight.
I'm most improved.
You excited, Shantae.
Sure. Okay, you guys, sleeping with the enemy. We all know what took place this week. How do you pronounce his name? The Boston Celtics. And we're going to speak about this briefly because I know this has been ran into the ground. But the Boston Celtics coach, his name is he has a unique name. What's his name? All you basketball men. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name. Well, we know I call him Neil Long's fiance. I know that's not a great thing to call him.
Is it Ime Udoka?
Udoka. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. We should know that. This man did a great job last year. He made it to the playoffs. Right? So that's a
I
big
mean,
deal.
I should have known how to pronounce his name, being that I'm a Boston Celtics fan.
Right, you were wearing that green and you don't even know the coach's name?
I'm terrible with names, though.
Oh, you're a terrible
Me
fan.
too.
Oh my goodness.
Don't do that.
I'm terrible with names too. Anyhow, this guy, so we know this man, you know, he's engaged to Nia Long. And unfortunately, he did not know how to control his urges. And unfortunately, on top of that, it cost him his job. So my question is, why do you think this is, you know, because I've been listening to the shows up until this point, and I keep hearing people, including the men on King Talk. I'm so glad Ricky is here. And one of the topics was talking about, how can I say this in a classy Southern Belle way? Having discipline with yourselves. And how hard that is for men. I just want to know why. Like, why are we not preaching this early on? Because people are out here losing their jobs. It's getting a little out of hand. You know, one thing to lose your family, you know, assuming that, you know, there will be repercussions to that at home, but you're losing your job. That's your reputation. And you're given this opportunity that's not given to many of us. And it's tarnished because of that one night, assuming it was one night. So how do you guys feel about that?
So how did he lose his job though? I'm curious.
Well, it's suspended. He's lost it for a year.
What? But was he messing around with a staff member or something like that? I think that was in the.
What rock have you been hiding under? Oh, let's fill me in. So basically, from my understanding, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. He was sleeping with the vice president's wife.
Wow. Okay,
It
that's
was
a little
somebody.
different. It's a little different.
You don't miss
That's different.
I don't know who he was sleeping with. I didn't follow the story, but I knew that there was a scandal going on.
So how do you guys feel about it? It could be anybody. Let's just assume that's just play like it could be anybody. At the end of the day, he was suspended from a very nice job because of discipline, lack thereof. How do you guys feel about that? Why do you think it is so hard for men to, I understand we lust and all that kind of stuff, but there's so many men who do it every day. Why is it so hard for some men to do it, but other men can't?
All right, I'll start. This is just my couldn't look up data on this. So I would just say my opinion is we have spoke a lot of times about how when men are young, they should sow their wild oats, right? Do it all now before you settle down, you know, get it out your system. But I personally think that discipline takes practice just like anything else. So if you are taught, so to speak, to just whoever you feel like having sex with when you're younger, just go ahead and do it. And then when you're ready to settle down, you'll be ready. But without the practicing the discipline part in between. So you're jumping from one phase into another, thinking that you'll be able to handle that, you know, that change like that, where you just have to cut it off and only be with one, right? And then soon as that urge come, you know, pun intended, soon as that urge happens, then it's kind of like it's easier to fall back into old habits when you haven't practiced how to discipline yourself all along. That's just my summation. I don't have any facts about that, but that's just, you know, learning when you have bad behavior. It's hard to break bad habits.
I think it's just one sec, I'm sorry.
Good work, girl.
So I'll jump in. I can only guess again because I'm not a man.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume, and I'm very interested to hear what Thinking Man and Ricky have to say on this because they are men. I would assume that something was missing just like why women cheat, something was missing, and they saw a shiny new red ball and they went, I like it and it's giving me what I want, so I'm going to go play with that ball. It may not necessarily have been something that they wanted long term, but it was something that caught his attention at that moment, which is why he tried to hide it, from what I read earlier, like a little bit earlier to this. Like he hid it from her for quite a long period of time. And now she relocated to Boston and all these different things. And it's like, surprise, scandal comes out and you know about it. So I think it's just because something was missing in their relationship that the other woman was giving.
I don't necessarily think that something has to be missing for a man to step out. I also think that women, we've gotten bashed for being in our 30s, not being married or not having kids. And this is kind of one of the reasons why, because, this is, unfortunately, I'm not saying every man, but this is what, like, men are hunters. So it's just like, you can have the best thing since sliced bread sitting at home, and your desire is to conquer this new meat. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's kind of crazy because we get bashed so hard for just not being married or not having kids. And this is kind of one of the reasons why, because you see that they have a family, he has a great job, she has a great job, and it's still basically not enough, So, and this is one of the reasons that it's kind of hard to, like Ms. Taken, you said that sow your royal oats when they're younger, right? So why is it that you guys expect women to be married so young as well, when the man, and he's in his early 20s or whatever, and he's not ready, but you guys want us to be ready or expect us to be ready, and when we do, look what happens.
Interesting. Anybody? Oh, go ahead.
Are we talking about this particular situation, or are we talking about just in general? I guess.
Well, we were talking about this situation, but if you did not know the situation, then it's okay to speak.
I have a clear understanding. I have a slight understanding of the situation. I mean, for one, they wasn't married. I mean, what y'all say, until we marry, we single, right? Ain't that what y'all say?
Absolutely.
Right. So no harm, no foul, correct?
Not true. If they define their relationship to be monogamous, even though they're not married, if
they're engaged, so there is an
then that's the idea of being monogamous. If they're in,
I mean, 10 years engaged and no marriage. I mean, really?
No, they just got engaged. They were not engaged. They were cohabitating.
Same thing. Y'all been together for 10 years and not married. So, I mean, we single until we ain't, right?
But I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want, if you were dating a woman, you wouldn't want her to be stepping out on you, and y'all just are dating.
I don't date women.
So let me ask
you. Hold on. I'm not done.
Married.
Okay. No, I'm saying if you are courting a woman and you say, okay, this is a person that I want to end up being with, she's your girlfriend, you still wouldn't want your girlfriend to step out, now would you?
Well, if she was long enough to be there for 10 years to be my girlfriend, we'd have been married already.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Let me go from a different angle. At the end of the day, this is your job. So whether you're engaged or not, it has nothing to do with you being engaged. You're at your job, and that's tacky.
Well, you don't sit where you eat. That's the simple.
Absolutely. So the bigger picture is not necessarily the relationship. The bigger picture is you had so much lust and you were willing to lose your job, your livelihood, your name for that. It could have been all these chicks in the audience who I'm sure are looking at you, but you chose the vice president's wife.
Because he got power.
That power, right? That's powerful.
If we want to be honest, they chose each other, correct? It was a mutual understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
It takes two to have sex.
Oh, absolutely. But what I'm saying to you, we can condemn teachers all the time for for going off on a student because it's their job. She should know better. She's our teacher. She's helped to us. She should never cuss the kid out, even if he came at her, sideways. But what I'm saying to you is that happens, whether you do or not. It just happens, right? Because you're held to a different standard when you're leading something. And is that not correct?
Well, I don't agree with that. You're not your job. I hear what you're saying, but if we're getting down to the right bottom of it, you don't shit where you eat. That's the end of that conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, wouldn't the thing be you don't shit, period. If you're in a relationship, it doesn't matter where you eat or anything like that. He started, whether he got married yet or not, he was engaged. But prior to him even getting engaged, now I do think, I don't know the backstory of why they stayed in a relationship as long as they did without being married, but they were pretending to be married, I'll say, because they were cohabitating. They started a family together. They have a kid. I don't know how many, I don't know if it's kids with an S or a child together. So you're doing all of these things as if you were married. So my thing is, forget the job, are you willing to put your family at risk for that? Because you can always find another job. You know what I'm saying?
You
It
can
may
always
not be
find
the
another
one you
family.
want.
You can always find another family. It's America.
But what I'm saying is that I think the family is much more important than the job.
But come on now.
I don't know. Is it?
And listen, now some of us.
I guess not.
I'm not going to say this. You got to know what type of man you're talking to. Okay.
It depends on your morals and your values.
Your morals and your values. That's what you have to keep in mind, because this is not all men. Some men get it together, but you got a few astray. So with that being said, everybody's not gonna, but what's right is right at the end of the day. If we don't know his relationship with her, but we see that they are together. She's at the games. We see them, and this is a public relationship. So from what we see, in the fact that he proposed to her, we will only assume that anybody who proposes to another person, that's something serious. That's not something to take lightly. You are moving towards marriage.
Well, I think we kind of
in normal sense.
We might be getting it a little bit confused though, because you coming from a more traditional perspective. So they might get married and have a different type of relationship where, he can do his thing, and she's okay with that and understanding his profession and what surrounds him and all of that stuff. They may have an understanding. It just kind of got brought to light. You know what I mean? True. So everybody don't have a traditional relationship.
That's true.
That's true too.
Right.
Maybe it's the surprise factor for it, like Thinking Man said.
The embarrassment.
Honest about
the
this.
embarrassment. Or not knowing before, like finding out from the media, if that's really what happened.
The truth of the matter is you don't know, because Nia Long ain't said nothing. Again, they understand privacy in their relationship. So
right.
Well, obviously he doesn't, because that should have never came out.
Well, there was something that came.
I don't think he moved right. Even if they were in an open relationship, that should have been something private. So if you're moving in a means that your business gets out, then that's a violation there too.
It's definitely sloppy. I mean, I think we can all agree that it's sloppy.
That. Yeah, it's sloppy all that, right? But I hear what y'all saying. I'm sorry, sis. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. My bad. I'm just saying, like, who told? Because I'm pretty sure he's not going around.
Right.
I heard that husband found out.
But the thing, like, my big problem is this: is that if we gonna hold him accountable, we should hold both parties accountable.
Oh yeah, she needs to go down for that.
You know
I need to see a divorce or something.
But see, the difference is, though, that's the thing. He was stupid in the move that he made. He shouldn't have even dealt with her, because the consequences for her is going to be totally different than, like, he's going to get fired. Or he could get fired, should I say, and then end up with nothing. Even if the consequences on her is that he leaves, she's still going to end up with something, because she is the wife. He's willing to walk away. He's willing to walk away, risk being in a situation where he's going to end up losing everything, because he could end up losing his family as well as his job.
Okay, facts. So what I'm hearing is that, again, in this situation, even though it was mutual, at the end of the day, it's the man that's held accountable and responsible, correct?
We're just saying
No,
Ricky, we're not putting the blame on.
I'm asking questions.
No, we're not.
No, we're not putting the blame only on men.
No, it's both
not
of
only
them.
on him.
But let's just be honest. If she's married to the man, I mean, it depends on the man that she's married to, whether he's going to divorce her or not, because some don't have a backbone, they just take it. And then if he does divorce her, like they said, if there was no prenup, he's the vice president of
we still don't know exactly who it is. It could be a cheerleader. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
No, they said the vice president. Like it was.
No, that's not.
Okay.
confirmed.
And just to clarify, they've been engaged
It's not
since
confirmed.
2015. So it's been a long time that they've been engaged.
You said that's not correct, Itanya?
It's not confirmed. From my last I read about it, wasn't confirmed because they had two people going against, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it was a white girl, a dark skin, a light skinned girl. So it's not confused.
Oh, the black girl was not it. She came out and
See,
said, "No, sir, that's not it."
It could be a cheerleader. It could be
It's
a
definitely sloppy. It's definitely sloppy.
Facts.
Agreed.
That's why
No sloppy, but
Yeah, but he
Shantae,
shouldn't. This the thing, though. He shouldn't. I mean, that's off the court, though. You know what I mean? You might have some fidelity issues. He shouldn't get suspended from his job behind something that's going on in his personal life.
It is within the workplace,
Workplace.
absolutely.
in the workplace.
No,
yeah.
right. That's what I'm
Anybody
saying.
There's probably an SOP for that.
But that's what I'm saying. If it's within the workplace, that's one thing. But because we don't know. But if it's outside of the workplace, he
No,
shouldn't.
it was definitely
I
that
think
was.
they have a no fraternization approach.
Yeah, that's
Policy.
the only way that they could
Yeah.
suspend him, though.
Yeah, the no fraternization clause. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
I believe I hear what y'all saying as far as him being disciplined, but again, if it wasn't no woman for him to sleep with, he couldn't sleep with him. So they both in this. You know what I'm saying? I don't like.
Absolutely.
Right.
I really don't appreciate the way the public making this a one-sided affair, especially the media.
Because we don't know who it is.
No,
No,
exactly.
really.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's two people that's disrespecting their relationship, but we only know about one. That's not cool at all. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
agree.
That's why what's his
On
name?
blast.
Matt Barnes retracted his statement because he originally stated that it was too harsh, which I do agree. But then he came back and said that tried to say something different. Did y'all see that part? Matt Barnes.
I didn't-
Yeah.
Matt Barnes can speak, but based on his like I said, his history.
Yeah, he spoke to.
I was like, is this the same
tone.
Matt Barnes? Hold on.
I mean, did you get in? Like, aren't you the treat too?
He spoke too soon. Yeah.
But no, Shantae, they've been engaged since 2015. So we're going on 7 years of engagement. No
thing
marriage.
is it's about taking the time to weigh the risks. So I think is maybe sometimes is, you end up looking at it from hindsight. But, I think if you're looking at it from the front end and say, all right, I'm about to take this risk. Is this risk worth it? And the best case scenario, you get away with it. The worst case scenario is you don't. And if you don't get away with it, what could be the worst case scenario consequences? I don't think either one of them took the time to think about that, especially when you're thinking that you may get away with it. And then when the ish hits the fan, then it's like, dag, I didn't see this coming. But did you not really see it coming when you know that you were moving the wrong way to begin with?
I think it depends on
don't
the
necessarily
setup
think
of
that.
the relationship. Again, like Thinking Man said, if they have an understanding, then the outcome really isn't. It's just more like, let's get this out the media. But if you're talking in a general sense of a man who cheats, most times they don't think about the outcome. Like, what is it really going to cost them at the moment that they're having sex?
But if we're talking about both sides, maybe, okay, for the Boston Celtics coach, if they have an open relationship, but it sounds like, and disclaimer, I have not seen the information at all, so I don't have the history of it whatsoever. But if it was the vice president's wife, it sounds like they didn't have an open relationship. If that's the case, if the husband found out.
That's not necessarily true. People get down differently. It's different.
Well, if he's upset
That
about
is
it, if he's upset about it, you're right. Maybe they could have an open relationship and he's upset because of the person it was with. Possible, possibly. But there's so many things that we don't know and will possibly never know.
I have a question for the men, just because I don't know. And I mean, I guess you can give from the male perspective. Do men think about the consequences beforehand and then just be like, all right, I'm willing to take that leap anyway, or not?
It's all depending on the situation.
Give me an example. Like, what situation would you think about it versus a situation you wouldn't?
There's no examples. It's just all depending on the situation. You got to be in there to know.
And I'm sure that changes per man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
some people may
But
think,
it changes per woman too. You see what I'm saying? It changes per woman you dealing with too. It's all depending on the situation.
I think I think men should. You got to think. I mean, just in life period, as a man, you have to be strategic. If you providing and protecting and doing all of that, you thinking 4, 5, 10, 15 steps ahead of a lot of situations. So yeah, you should think ahead. I mean, me and Ricky agree on that. Like, I mean, excuse me, I agree with Ricky 100% on that. It's sloppy. Bottom line, I mean, just facts. As a man, how he moving is sloppy. You know what I mean? I can't pass judgment on another man, but it's sloppy though.
Sloppy as hell.
Yeah.
But like I'm not gonna like I can't damn that man because again I don't know all the processes of what's going on. I don't know if him and Nia Long in some type of relationship because we can't sit up there and pigeonhole this dude into something when we said so many times on panels like this that these Hollywood types have different type of relationships that normal
Facts.
people don't exercise, right? I can't sit up there and say, oh, he all in the wrong when this woman, she's the one who was married. Yeah, they engaged, but if she's married, and she disrespecting the whole thing too, right? Both of them should be liable. I mean, she's under the organization too as well, correct? Because that's how it's called fraternization, right? So why is it only one way repercussions coming for this man when she was in the wrong just as much as she is?
I agree. But I think that
I agree.
I think that's the reality because I think that some of our men think that there because they get a high chain up, they're as equal as they are, and they find out real fast when something like this happens that you're absolutely not. You're not one of them. So it puts you in. They'll put you in check.
Well, then that was my thing about even though we don't know like what happened, my bottom line is he was willing to risk it all. And now the question is, was it worth it?
I mean, we
Might
all
not
know
be.
the answer to that.
Right. Right.
Well, we know the answer to that. Nobody wants to be blackballed.
Yeah.
Your circle, you're gonna always. I mean, he's a great coach. He did an outstanding job last year, and now we're talking about this. Not the fact that he got to the playoffs. This is overweighing everything that he's worked so hard for, and it's unfortunate. But this, we can't seclude it to him. This happens to people all the time. When you make a bad decision and you're in a leadership position, this is what happens.
Yeah.
It's
So how many years has he been a coach?
how many years?
It ain't been that long. I don't think
It hasn't been that long. I think actually maybe a year. He was the head coach now this past year.
I think a couple of years at most, a couple.
Maybe 2. Yeah, at most 2.
I just find it difficult to think that he didn't think about his action. Again, if it's the vice president's wife, I find that very hard to believe. You guys are men. You guys know better than I how a man thinks, but I would find it very hard to believe that a man in his position would have a relationship, a sexual relationship with the vice president's wife and not think about that, not one bit. And same in the vice versa role as the vice president's wife, that she would not think about that in one bit.
Allegedly, let's say allegedly, because Tanya said has been confirmed allegedly.
That's why I said if. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Well, this is the thing though too. In a position like being a coach, I also see that you have access. So when you're living in a situation where you can have access to pretty much anything that you want, that access may also include the vice president's wife. Like it is harder to draw boundaries, I guess, when you're used to getting the things that you want because of your position. And what more, I don't know, ego driven kind of aspect would that be when you also can have access to the VP's wife?
And we're assuming it just started. This could have happened. We don't know when this started.
I'm just saying, it's 2 parties involved, bro. But we talking about one. I'm not gonna do this with y'all. I'm not.
Well, we listen. I know men like to hold women accountable. So we understand that she is absolutely in the wrong. But we're talking about him only because we see what he is losing. We care more about him. I don't care about that woman. She's not.
We don't know the other woman. We know Nia Long. And yeah.
So we know Nia Long. We know him, and we can go off of what now. If they put her up there, then we can have a conversation about her because we can dig more into her life, what she's lost, and all of those things. So we're not saying. I think that the problem is we're not holding women accountable.
I didn't say anything about accountability. I'm saying we don't have all the information to the story.
Right. We're only going based off of what we do, like what has been released. So that's the only part I guess we can talk about.
And it was
Um,
sloppy. It was sloppy. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
mhm.
Again, this would, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave this alone, right? So if we expect that man to lead, right? If we're gonna give him for the majority part of responsibility of thinking about the consequences, then we need to have a discussion past that, or whose responsibility falls into what past that point. You see what I'm saying? Because again, if all the responsibility is on me as a man to make the right decisions, what's your job?
Absolutely. That's
She
her
made the wrong decision
right.
too.
Right. So she made the wrong decision.
Right.
And till we know who her husband is, he needs to put that in check because he's the leader of her household. He's
Yeah.
not that he's gonna have to plan it wherever he sees fit. That's his wife. So we just don't know the situation. Like you said, it could be his wife, it could be a cheerleader, it could be we don't know who the person is.
Right. Or it could have even been known again, because if we're talking about certain circles, some people are cuckolds and they cool with that shit. For all y'all know, her husband could have been in the room in there while he was hitting it.
Right.
He was just mad because he was a black man. That's all.
Right. So this is what I'm saying, right? I don't want to cast judgment on something I don't have full info on. That's all I'm saying. Now, is it sloppy?
I mean, I think right now what we're just discussing is that there was an act and there was a repercussion, right? I think that's just really mainly the focus, right? It's
It
not
was sloppy. It was sloppy as fuck.
right. And was it worth it?
So do you
And
guys
not just-
think that his punishment was harsh?
I think it was. But the thing is that if that's in the contract and that's in their bylaws, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You playing on, hey, technically, right? You playing ball on those dudes' court. So
Yeah.
if you do it, they can use it as they see fit. Those are the rules to the game.
And I think it's in the bylaw, like you're like even the players, which it happens all the time anyway, that they're not supposed to fraternize with the cheerleaders. Like there are certain rules in place to try to minimize that, certain behavior. So if you're willing to take the risk, then that means you're willing to take the consequences that come along with it,
Exactly.
if you get caught.
Agreed.
It's in
And
that
going back
contract.
to-
There's nothing that we can say.
Right.
Going back to consequences, I agree with those who have said fraternizing. If it is the vice president's wife, I don't think it's harsh at all. If it was outside, I think it is harsh because
Mhm.
it's off the court, outside of the organization. Just my 2 cents. And then I'll go back to, you don't just stumble upon intercourse. I mean, that just doesn't happen. We're talking about sex. There are other steps that lead up to having a sexual relationship with whomever it happened with. So, yes, I think someone made a comment, it's hard to turn down P or something of the sort. Well, there was something else that was an attraction prior to that, or there's something that led up to those events.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, it's common sense though. Even let's say nothing is in place in the contract about fraternization. Just period. I mean, if it is a VP's, wife, or you just got to move different. You got to move smarter. Like you
That
got
was
to
a
move
dumb
smarter than
decision.
that. It was a bad decision. I mean, we've all
Horrible
made bad
decision.
decisions, but that was a pretty bad decision.
That was horrible.
Mhm.
And last you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, even like looking at we know that the VP's wife was definitely wrong in the situation, and the coach was wrong in the situation. But one of the things that I think about is Nia Long staying in the situation. Now, I can't say that, he did it before. I don't know. I would guess and say he probably has, just, being in that environment, the access is there. And I saw somebody mentioned in the comments, I don't know, because I don't follow them like that they live in separate states, or something like that. I don't know, but I would guess that this probably isn't the first time. But let's say it was. Even prior to that, I wonder why Nia Long stayed in that particular relationship as long as she did without having the commitment. We talked about this before. Like, how long is too long to stay in a situation that's not leading to marriage if that's what you want? Now, I say if because I don't know. It could have been early on that she didn't want to be married. I don't know. But I'm just supposing, since they've been engaged for 5 years, that she did want to get married. So they've been together, what, 10 years at least? They got like a 10-year-old son or something like that. So you've been in this relationship for that amount of time without having the full commitment of a marriage. So
I don't think the child is his. I think she is a 10-year-old.
But she has
Okay.
2 kids.
I thought I read that the youngest was his.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
youngest. Okay, yeah, she has a child that's not his. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but
Oh,
I think
okay.
the youngest is his.
I
But
think
again,
it probably was
we
a
don't
on
know
and off.
those details though, mistaken.
Yeah.
Like, again, it could have been her that's like, I'm not moving. I have a comfortable life out here in LA. You're over there on that coast. Out of sight, out of mind. Just don't embarrass me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We don't know those details. We can't put a traditional type of situation on their relationship because that's what we see, and we see as the goal. Also, if maybe they do have a traditional situation, I know multiple women who, once you get in that situation, you handle it at that time point. I know people who have had infidelity in their marriages, in their relationships, and they're still together with that person because they didn't feel like that was a reason for their marriage or their situation to end. So I think it's all depends on the woman. It all depends on the relationship, and all depends on how hard you're willing to work to keep it together. Some people find infidelity to be it. If you cheat on me, I'm done. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Whereas women say, you know what? Some women are like, we could get through this. So I think it's very situational.
I think most women in that situation is more about the embarrassment of it. Like, don't embarrass
Mhm.
me. I think because if you
Right.
look at how their lifestyle is and how they're living, I mean, obviously we don't know the facts, but I'm sure it's along one of those lines. Like, don't embarrass me. Don't be sloppy out here. That's probably the conversation that's being had, is how sloppy that happened. And we don't know. Nia Long might be doing her thing too. Let's keep it a buck. Like,
I don't know.
she
Yeah. I mean,
no, but
she
I'm saying
could
she
be,
may
but
not. What I'm saying is she may not. Like we were talking about the traditional aspect of marriage. She might be cool with it. Like they in a totally different environment, and they have an independent culture from the rest of society. She might be in LA, have a boyfriend, and it's an understanding between her that he's in Boston and he got whatever going on. It's just a matter of it hitting the press and being this big thing in the media where it's creating a problem.
yeah, for whatever reason, I don't get that from her. I think she's lived a pretty clean life, but let's not act like finding a true companion is so easy out here. She is in love with this man. This
You
man
never
is
know, Shante. You never know.
Why you say
Right.
she
She just
living a
out the
clean life?
media.
How you know?
Listen.
Exactly.
listen,
Exactly. You
you
never know.
Women know how to slide better than men.
Facts.
listen.
You never know.
Look,
You never know.
Hey,
I'm
y'all know
not-
it's some. Hold on, y'all know it's some dudes that don't make it to your IG. All right, you know what I'm saying. So let's just keep it a
Yeah.
buck. It's some guys
Right.
that you kick it with that don't make it to your Instagram,
Right.
and it appears to be, if you were in the public eye, a clean situation. If we going there, we saying
Right.
that, right? So
Okay.
we don't know what's going on.
There's some dudes that made it to y'all bed don't nobody else know about.
Facts.
Look, I'm learning stuff new every day.
Whatever do you mean, Ricky? I
You
have
know what
no
I'm
clue
talking
what
about,
you're
Cece.
talking
Don't say
about.
I'm just saying, we should have kept our other type area code 304.
Cece, you see him at the bar, you be like, you hit him with the
Right. Listen. You better have my drink too.
Listen, somebody told me to stop being disingenuous. First of all, let's stop using that word. I'm so over that word. Let's look at some other words that we can use besides that one, because that one is, oh my gosh, I've never heard it so much like I heard it here in
You're
YouTube.
disingenuous,
Shantae,
Shante.
you on
But let me
cold though.
say- but
Shantae,
let
you
me
on cold though.
But let me just
stay
say,
on cold,
it's not
Saint.
about no.
What does that mean? I'm sorry.
Chantel, she
No,
protecting the sister.
No.
She lives a clean life. You know, I mean,
Listen,
she gave her life to God, and you know,
that's not. It has
Nia Long
nothing
has
to do
Bible study every week.
Every
Listen.
Thursday night.
Y'all
Yeah.
already know how I am. No, I do not. I mean, I do like the, I do God.
you love the Lord. Okay.
But at the end of the day, I don't want people to think that every woman is that woman.
They not.
They're not.
No.
So we can't put that. Yes, we got women in the street, and if you think like that, hey, who
Hey, just
I'm
like
here to
every
tell
man
you
ain't that way.
that
I'll
there
try that.
are women that I surround myself with that are not in the streets like that. We do exist.
But
So
I,
to
No,
tell me
we're
that
not saying that we
I'm
don't. We're just saying that you just never
honest,
know.
yeah, you
Can't
never
just
know.
put somebody on a high pedestal thinking like, oh, they're
Right.
the
But
Like,
you-
you
king
don't
of
know
the.
what goes on behind
You don't
someone's
Right.
closed door.
What I'm
Okay.
saying to you is I'd rather think the positive than the negative. I don't like to put things on people if I don't have proof to
I'm a
say that
realist.
they're doing something and I don't have proof that they're doing that. I'd rather do the opposite. Wish for
I-
the best. And then if it happens,
That forward.
okay, you prove me wrong.
Yeah. I
I
got a
don't want
theory
you
though.
doing me like that.
I got a theory though, and I wanted to run it past a panel. So do y'all mind if I do that, right?
Go ahead, Brother Ricky.
I mean, I'm gonna do it anyway, but here we go.
Well, we knew that.
So, like, when you said like, why do Nia Long stay away, or why women? If I think about it, if I'm being totally honest, and if I go down to the basis of what I think human nature is, right? I think a lot of women stay because it validates that their man is somebody that other women want.
Because you said because is a man, their man is a man that other women want.
I think it validates not just him, but them.
Good point. I do believe. I believe.
I mean, he is a very good-looking guy.
Ricky.
Yeah, he's a very good-looking guy in a power role.
'Cause y'all know women
Well, I
love
was
that
gonna
man.
say, so do you think a woman would stay in a relationship just my earring fell out, just because he's handsome?
No, not that he.
No,
No.
He's that dude.
No.
Right.
The power,
He's a high
the
value
power,
man.
Right.
money,
Oh,
power,
okay.
respect.
He's a high value man.
Yeah.
Okay.
With him, right, is because like what y'all say all the time, not y'all, nobody on this panel, but women in general, right? Y'all don't want a man that no other woman don't want.
Facts.
I think I've
Facts.
said
That's
that
true. I
on
mean,
the
you know.
panel tape the
I
first
just
time.
scratched my nose on that. You're right.
Right. So it kind of like even though y'all be like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? But you be like, damn, he with me, they know about me, he's still getting some ass, like, damn. You know what I'm saying? I think somewhere in the back of y'all head, y'all be like, he that fucking dude. And that's why y'all so willing to compete for that, because he's that fucking dude.
Yeah.
You kind of do want a man that
You want a man that is desirable.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, but do you want a man
that
that's
power.
desirable to you or desirable to other women? Because for
Both.
me, I
Both. It comes with
Why would I
territory.
only want a man that's desirable to other people that I don't also desire?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Like,
what I'm saying,
that sounds a little crazy.
no,
You
what I
want him to
mean,
desire
what I
you.
mean is that like like I'll find, like if I'm with somebody, of course I want to find them desirable. But I know there are times like where you may have found somebody attractive that somebody else be like, nah, I don't really think he's all that. But you find something about him that you're attracted to, right?
Somebody
So
else will too.
what I'm saying, my emphasis, I guess, would be more on me finding him attractive than feeling like my decision has to be validated by other women that finds him attractive.
So you telling
You
me
understand what I'm saying?
That's no, I get what you're saying, but that's not it. That's not it.
No.
Because that's
You
what
going-
I'm
you
thinking.
going
I'm
too
like,
far
oh,
to the
if I
left.
find him attractive and then other women don't, do that mean he's not attractive? No, it has to be about what I find attractive. That's what's going to matter. I don't need other women to validate my selection on what I deem to be attractive or not.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I don't think it's a validation. It's just that the fact that someone finds your man attractive is something that women also look for. Not to validate that you find a man attractive based on the fact that other women think he's attractive.
And what I mean, it's not validation for you mistaking but it is validation that no matter what no matter how you try to put it or put it around it, right? When another woman is attracted to your man, that validates your choice.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's true.
You have them and they don't.
Right?
That's me. That's mine. Look at
And
it.
on
all
top
you
of
want.
it, if
That's
you
mine.
attracted to him, Why you don't? It's a ton of other women that are as well attracted to the same exact thing you're attracted to.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, I've had a friend.
Most
He's not
times,
my
yeah.
type.
But hold on, but look, this the thing though. You gotta look at because we talking about this guy, right? So y'all saying I think the women on the panel, y'all think he's a
Oh,
fairly attractive.
he's very attractive. I watched multiple games and went, yes.
So
Damn, CC, slow down, kiddo.
No, but I'm saying
Listen,
so. Think
he's an
about that.
attractive man. I'm not gonna lie.
So if this panel is a representation of what the consensus is about how attractive he is, we didn't even start talking about the price point that he makes and what status that in status and
How
all that kind of
visible
stuff.
he is as a, you know what I'm saying, as a man, right? The connections he got, how he move. When you see him in a tux pulling out of the 7 Series Beamer, you know what I'm like? Come on now.
That's
Come on now.
Yeah.
It created a different environment, and that's why I say, like, I mean, women like Nia Long, you never know. She might, from her perspective,
You might understand that.
facts, and don't want to lose that because statistically speaking, she may not be able to get something like that again.
It's like 1%.
These are all facts. I will not deny those.
So
I mean, you really got to think about the facts.
So hold up, think. So it kind of makes y'all understand why the vice president allegedly will be throwing him some pussy. You know what I'm saying?
The white, right? No, we're not saying that. We find him attractive. We're
not saying that he didn't get.
We know he can pull it. I was just saying, out of all the women you can pull it from in the stadium, you chose the vice president's wife because he is desirable. He has choices. He has more pickings than the vice president's wife.
Well, maybe his penis had standards.
Shoot or shoot. Hey, shut up, Shamar. Hey, man, shoot or shoot. That's all I'm saying. Shoot or shoot.
They need to stop.
I understand what you're listening. I want to let y'all know that I acknowledge 100% what y'all are saying, but shooters shoot. And a man can only run so far and so fast and so long.
We're not saying that she's not in the wrong though, Ricky. I feel like
she may be for the streets. She could be one of those 3 or 4.
She could be for the streets that are married and
right. If we
probably knew his wife was for the streets.
We stay honest over here about women and hold them accountable. We do.
No doubt. I'm just like I'm doing what y'all. I'm assuming the situation.
Okay.
Touche.
All right, you guys, let's
don't get mad, Tante. Don't get mad. I saw your face. Don't get mad.
Oh, no, I'm not mad. I think that was a good point that you made. Absolutely. Women do want men that are desirable. You'd be like, my man fine. Yeah, he cheated one time, but.
Well, I have a question for the panel. Ladies, if you were in this situation based on our hypothetical, would you stay or would you go?
I'm staying. It's my husband, my companion. But he can't do
I would need to know the why.
Why I'm staying? Because
not why you staying. I'm saying for me, I guess cheating is not necessarily an automatic deal breaker, but the but is I would need to know.
I got you mistaken. Yo, you know what, Nia?
Why?
Let's role play. You Nia alone, and I'm the coach, right? Nia, because he had to make that phone call, right? He had to make that phone call, right?
Yeah, to let her know that it was going to happen.
Right. So Nia, look, you know the situation. You in LA, I'm here. I was missing you, but I understand. You know this is our situation. She offered us some ass, and I took it. You know what I'm saying? It went a little farther than it should have went.
We call it diamonds.
You know what I'm saying? It went a little farther than it should have went. You know what I'm saying? But just know it's nothing more than what it was.
But Ricky, I told you.
Right. You
were free to do what you were supposed to do, but it shouldn't get out.
Facts. You right. But if I'm gonna be honest, I gotta take account. I messed with her, right? But I didn't release it. Her husband tricked off. You know what I'm saying? What it was, and she was coming at me. Yeah, I should have pushed her back, but it is what it is. I thought you should have a heads up before anybody, and I'm being honest to you about the situation.
Well, since we're being honest with each other, I slept with your brother. No, I'm just I'm joking.
Then this shit is over. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's done.
Right.
Right.
Why you think I already knew? Why you think you've been engaged 5 years?
And scene.
Yes.
But what I was saying in
Yes.
terms of, for me, why it wouldn't be an automatic deal breaker is because the why is more important, because that'll let me know if going forward we can move forward.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So if it, and then whatever that why is, for us to work towards fixing that, so we won't be in this situation again. But if it's just some a situation like what Ricky was saying, well, you know what it is, you know, it was a fine piece of ass and I just had to try, then that's my why. And then in that situation, that's I wouldn't stay, because I would want my relationship to be whatever the agreement was that we had. You know what I'm saying? So if it's supposed to be monogamous, then that's what the deal is. You know, it should be that. But if we said it was open and then he broke the rules of what the open relationship is supposed to be, then we need to resolve that or whatever. But either way, the deal breaker for me is always going to be the why.
Agreed. Makes perfect sense.
See, you stand? See,
Oh,
see, see,
for me,
answer the question.
again, it's situational. I from examples in my life, I have seen people who've been through the bottom of the bottom, like hard situations, still make it through. So from experience of what I've seen from marriage, I would try. That's the best thing best I can say. I can say I would say it would be situational. Like,
But
I would
what-
have to know details.
But what if it's just an extended engagement like this, not married?
Extended engagement.
Because they not married.
People stay for less, Ricky.
I got my answer. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I mean, we're in this situation. If I was Nia in this situation and what I'm seeing, I think I can assume that this is not the first time. And I just think it's more of an embarrassment thing, similar to a lot of other public relationships that we see where they stay. It just needs to come out of the
public eye.
Come out of the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once it dies out of the media, you don't hear about it again.
Once it get off,
and similar to Gabrielle Union, he has a whole baby, but she shut it down. She said that baby you don't hear nothing about that baby mama or that baby. Mm-hmm. And we will not hear nothing about that baby mama or baby. She probably had to sign an NDA, something that says you're gonna shut up after this, and we're gonna be over here living our lives. Yeah. So
privacy is powerful, man. It's powerful.
Yeah,
privacy is powerful.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, even if it's, I know the public aspect makes the situation worse, because you feel like you don't have the opportunity to deal with that privately. So I get that. But my question is that even if you were dealing with the situation privately, for something to continue on and on again and again, when you know that that's not the situation you want, why stay in at that point? Is it worth it?
Are
like
you giving
what
us another scenario? Because we can't assume that
no. Well, no, I'm just saying in general, if it's a situation like where that, like Nia Long situation happened or what have you, or who we are just talking about that shut it down or whatever.
Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So with that situation, my thing is she chose to stay, so it is what it is. But if behind closed doors, you know what it is that you want in terms of that relationship, why do people stay in that situation? Is it really worth it?
The question is, do they?
Right.
The question is, do they?
Right. It's all about if it's worth it for you. I think people are obtuse when they say that. It's what you can tolerate. That one person can tolerate more than you, and vice versa. It's not your business, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Right. I think that's the problem with people. What I would do. It ain't what you don't worry about what you would do, because it ain't your situation. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
What you tolerate may be different from what another person tolerates.
Right.
Exactly.
And the truth is, even though you see it, and this why I tell people about privacy, man. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things, like, everybody go through it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody go through it. The difference between couples that stick together and the ones that don't is the ones that go through it keep their business to their goddamn self.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see like, and this just me keeping 100, right? If you my, I married you, right? Nobody for me and vice versa. I know the talking points. I ain't gonna get in all that bullshit. I ain't gonna get into the talking points that this YouTube should be talking, right? What I'm
We
saying,
appreciate that.
right? What I'm saying is this: I married you, right? So if I fuck up, I expect grace. But how can I expect grace then if she slip? I don't give her no grace,
Agree.
right? Y'all be living this one way relationship shit and wonder why y'all relationships don't work
Mhm.
because y'all not really in it for y'all. You in it for you.
Well,
Y'all,
I push back on that, Ricky. A lot of times you hear men say that.
I,
Women typically.
hey, mistaken. I'm talking about both parties, sis.
Okay, because I
When you
was
say
gonna
I
say
say here,
typically you
go ahead.
ask most women, they'll say that they'll stay. For the most part, most women say that they'll work it out. It's really the men that will say, "Oh, if I'm out. There is no option. There's no chances."
But that's
I
but
agree
that's
with
what I'm
you.
saying. But that's what I'm saying though, right? So how you like I said, people getting y'all supposed to be French in a relationship. We. But again, it's all that I shit. What I would do. Nah, bro. How you expect to give her? How you expect Grace to be one way, bro? Right?
Mhm.
You need married, but like I said, them vows don't really mean nothing to y'all, right? Y'all don't really love that person. Y'all like them a whole lot and shit.
I agree with you.
Most women stand in that situation though.
I think most people who are in a companionship who are you can understand that everybody's not perfect in a relationship and you got to push through. If you find your true companion and you guys want to ride this thing out for life, you got to understand there are going to be bumps in the road, but we made an agreement. You are my partner, and through thick and thin, we're going to stick this thing out. Now
Right.
keep
And,
your penis in your pants.
even if you didn't, keep your business to yourself. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no need for you to put your shit out for the world to know. Hey, one day somebody will see you and you ain't with your partner no more. Wait, what happened? I don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't understand the power of privacy, man, and y'all wonder why y'all shit keep happening the way it do. Shut up, bruh. In all things, business, privacy, y'all relationships, bro. Shut up, man. Everything is not for the world to know. It's a lot easier to fix things around your table than when it's 12 other people at your table that don't even sleep in your house.
That's true.
Facts.
But this is clarify because this is a relationship where it seems to be a solid relationship. Seems to be a solid relationship. This is not for the woman who is dating a man and he just got you stringing them along. Clarify.
No, even then, even then, if you did, right, you look stupid. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you make him look bad, but you look stupid because you there. Like, ladies, the door works both ways. It's not a one-way door. They don't got no lock on the other side of it. And if it is, you got the key. Walk out of it.
Yeah.
And stop using Facebook as your therapist. Just
I
stop.
hate that. I mean, what are you doing? Get off. Somebody take that, change her passcode. I hate
Every
when
time I see it, I'm like, this is going to bite you in the ass later. You probably shouldn't write this. Where are
right.
your friends?
I'm like, what are we doing here? Okay, so we look, we have 5 super chats, big money.
And get them likes up.
Get them likes up.
I already know it's time to say it. Get them likes up. Who's reading? Are you reading them, Tara? Oh, she's extra muted.
Sorry, my bad. Jason C, $5. Exactly, Ken. We're assuming both have traditional relationships. Hey, Eugene. Eugene Steele,
Hi,
$5.
Dr. Steele.
Kevin Samuel said if a high value man becomes sexually reckless, he might lose respect from his circle or network. This is the case for the coach.
True.
Rebellious videos, $2. People want Bruce Wayne with Clark Kent traits. That's true. Harrison Davis, $5. Y'all know why I'm here. Salute.
Hi, Harrison.
Rebellious videos, $2. Women will share a 10 instead of a 6 to themselves. Oh wow. Not I. I'll take that 6.
Well,
that's
it
that's
depends
just
on
me.
if I want the 6. I mean, I'll take whatever man I want. Period. He don't have to be a
I'm,
10.
I'm not sharing. I'd rather take the 6 and have the 6 to myself than take a 10, and that 10 is really a 5 because he's splitting time with you, splitting time with this one.
I would take the man that I'm compatible with, I have chemistry with, and whether he's a 6 or a 10. As long as we mesh and it's a great fit, I'll take him. That's what I'm taking.
I'm not sharing. Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying whether he's a 6, it has nothing to do with the number 6 or 10. I would prefer the companion. You know what I'm saying?
No, what he's saying is what that comment was saying was women will take will be willing to share a man because he fit that, that 10, I guess what they were saying, the 666. They'll be willing to share him versus taking a man who may not be the 10 looking guy, but he's a 6, and you can have him all to yourself.
I mean, how many men are 10s though?
Right. I was about to say, I've never seen a 10.
Around here. Come on now. 6 or 7. Show me a 10. Except for the men on my panel. They're 10s.
So never mind. I'll leave that alone.
Let it go.
I'm gonna let it go.
Oh, let it go. All right. So, moving on to the next topic. Once I find it. Yeah, I promise this is coffee. It's nothing but coffee.
I don't know. You real bubbly tonight.
She done put some extra caffeine in the coffee.
Listen.
She hit it with a little shot of Tennessee.
Right. All right, guys. So we have let's go to the video.
And I'll never forget that. And I understand that a lot of men see that having sex with women, it doesn't matter. They see it as power. And other men in their community, they encourage them to sleep with instead of respecting their bodies, they teach them to sleep with a lot of women as a testament to their manhood. And it really kind of takes away, it desensitizes the person to sex. Now they're just using your body to get off, basically, right? Hold on.
Boost Mobile Wi-Fi?
No, that was the wrong part. Hold on for. So basically, the young lady was talking about. So, our person is on a trip right now. But basically, what she was saying, and let me take her off the screen so we can look at each other. But basically, what she was saying was, men use women that they may sleep with you even if they don't like you. The woman at the job who has a bad attitude, he may sleep with you just to dominate you. He does not have to have any type of feelings for you. He does not have to even like you as a person, but he will sleep at you for this, to be dominant over you, or just because he just doesn't like you. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct? Mistaken?
Mm-hmm.
I think he clicked the wrong part. I'm sorry for that. But the video kind of went like this: reasons why men sleep with you other than liking you or being intentional. So that's what we were going to talk about today. So how would you guys feel about that?
I'm all right with it.
Of course, you would be.
Yes, exactly.
But I think it's in that regard, I think it's on the woman to monitor herself in a sense to avoid that situation as best as she can. Because I know in some situations men will lie, and do whatever they can to get you to a point where you do trust them, and then that be the reason. So in situations like that, of course, I don't think that that's on a woman. But I would say definitely if you are in a situation where he's not, it doesn't seem like he's intentional, and you think that by sleeping with him is going to change the situation, I think you have to take ownership in the outcome that occurs, because it's very rare that it's going to be a situation where a dude is going to sleep with you and he's not intentional, and then you think that it's going to turn into a relationship. That's my opinion.
Anyone?
Anybody,
Bueller.
anybody else?
I like I said, I'm okay with it, right? I mean, shout out to Mistaken. He said you could tell a lie or tell the truth. You see what I'm saying? Because no matter what y'all say, y'all control access to sex, right? If you don't let me in your box, I'm not getting in it. So whether I hate you or like you, till you say yes, ain't nothing happening. I'm not graping you. I'm not S-ing you. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, we use a woman whitey to get off. Duh. You know what I'm saying? It's like
So I have a question. I just from what I'm hearing, and I always have to come from this angle. When did we as a people become so inhumane that
since
we
the
don't even
beginning of
care?
time. Since the beginning of time.
So to the point where, I mean, in large numbers, to the point where we don't even care how we're treating people. I can treat you like dirt, and that's men and women, because it's women who are out here using men for money. And a deceitful person is a deceitful person. When did character not play a role in your? I mean, when did character just fall the way? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to find a better word for it, but
When the character lose its value.
when a character go out of the door, because it just seems like we live in a society now where we don't even care about our brother. It used to be like brother and sister. You cared about your brother, you cared about your sister. But now it's like, you know what? I don't care. I'll treat you like crap. What's the point in going to these charity events, feeding the homeless? You're doing all these great things, but yet in your head, you think it's okay to deceive someone. You think it's okay to use somebody, both men and women. So I find that to be a problem. It's just it's crazy to me.
How are women being deceived though?
Both ways. If I'm manipulating you into sleeping with you, because we know it just doesn't happen. Like I hate you and you would have sex. There's something going on there for me to deceive. The same way with the woman. I'm not saying it's men and women. Okay. But if I'm going in and I'm making you believe it could be something else just to get into your pants, just to get your body or whatever, that's deception, manipulation. You may not want to look at it that way because it kind of takes away the privilege of, we can end off. But how is it not?
But you talking about two consenting adults. Nobody's tricking you to get in the bed and take your clothes off.
So if I go on a date with you and pretend that I like you and I'm only there to use your money, that's not manipulation. That's not deceit.
Well, it depends on how you value yourself, though. I mean,
No, I'm asking you in a situation, it's a situation. If I go on a date with you and I pretend to like you, I pretend to do all these things for you just to get your money, is that not manipulation or deceit?
Just to get me in bed, or to get me, because I thought we was talking about sex with people you hate.
No. I'm just saying manipulation. It's a tactic. Men care. I'm trying to do it vice versa.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
So for example, as a woman, if I'm using you just for your money, nothing else, I just want to get in your pockets. Is that not manipulation, deceit? And I'm leading you on, playing like I like you, caressing you like, oh, but I'm talking just to get your money. Is that not manipulation or deceit?
I think it's manipulation, but I guess what I'm getting at is, I mean, at our age, we know what's up.
No, you think people know what's up because everybody doesn't have, just like listen, everybody does not have a deceiving mind. Like it takes you, the deceptive person, to know a deceptive person. So not everybody is, y'all think everybody moving to deceive. Guess what? There are people who are out here, genuine people, and they get hurt every day because of deceptive people. It's like, oh no, you should know the game. Maybe they don't.
But I think it's about how you value yourself though. So just because a dude like you, if that's all you need to feel is he likes me to have sex with him, then it's a problem that you have to deal with. That's internal.
So obviously, if you jump in the bed with him ASAP, but we know deception can go on for many months. We've heard men on the platform saying it can go on for months. It can go on for a year. A person can really think like, oh, he's stuck in there. You know, he really likes me. You know, I made him wait and he waited. And the whole time he playing you just to get the cat.
That's facts.
Diamonds.
I mean, like I said, deception is real. You just got to be smart. You got to pay attention. You got to look. You can't get caught up in your feelings about stuff.
That's easy to say because listen, you can't tell people how to their emotions. Okay, you're sitting here saying you can't get because you're moving around deceptive people. But my question is, why are people deceptive? Why do we think it's okay? We've normalized deception. We've normalized it.
That's like asking, why do people steal though? I mean,
they shouldn't do that either.
But that's just human nature to do that.
Human nature to steal.
Hey, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and I understand how you're trying to reposition the values, right? The premise is that women look to men for security and money, and men look to women for sex, right? Either way, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, it's all about you making the choice to deal with it.
Wait, I'm sorry, Ricky. I hear some kind of sound feedback.
It ain't me. Not me. Mine's is Crystal.
CC.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying that at the end of the day, I understand how she's trying to exchange the value systems, but what it is that, again, if a woman's out there manipulating, hustling, right, what's the proof of that she really trying to rock with you? It's her time, it's her effort, it's what she does for you as a woman to earn that right? Same with a man. If he out here and he's selling you the world, the moon, and ain't bought nothing to the table, what's the proof of him being everything he say he is? It's the actions he present before you give him the box, right? So again, if you're not getting the results you want to get to the point where you're comfortable with doing that, that's, even though it's the game, you still responsible for your own shit. That man's still responsible for not being smart enough to vet and realize where that woman coming from, and that woman's she not smart enough to figure out he just after the box. Either way, the decision is yours.
Hey Ricky, real quick, bro, why we acting like these women are being deceived though?
They not
we're
though.
We're not. We're talking
you're
about.
Not being, but hold on. I'm just saying you're not being deceived. Though. You're not being deceived.
It's women who are being deceived all the time, and it's men who are being deceived all the time. You're assuming that everybody comes from the streets of 3-0. That they living at 304.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, once you reach a certain age, it's you understand that you have to be able to understand the dynamics of dealing with the opposite sex, whether you're a woman or a man. So to say you are deceived, that's willful ignorance.
Well, let me ask
you say that based on the fact that you have experience. I was right. You're saying that based on experience, but
remember, y'all want the pure women
and women who don't have experience. And I don't mean experience having sex, but I mean you have to run into enough situations in order to see a pattern. Mm-hmm. So if I haven't ran in enough situations to really be able to pinpoint certain things, then yes, I'm going to be easily manipulated because I don't know until I know, right?
But what percentage of women is that though? Let's keep it real.
Anybody who's young.
I think all women start off like that.
Yeah.
Naivety is not something that is age specific. I will say naivety is not something that's age specific. There are people who are still naive.
Right. Again.
But it doesn't change the fact that we have normalized deception. We have normalized manipulation. Like it's okay, just deal with it. No, it's not okay. You need to fix your character. Your character needs a little bit of schooling. It's not okay to deceive people both ways, men and women. That shit is not okay. I don't know who taught you it was okay, but the shit is not okay.
And that's right. And then, like you said, to normalize it, like I think I had said this before, like one of the things that I taught my son was there will be situations where you can take advantage of. Absolutely. But just because you can don't mean you should. And to me, that speaks to the character of a person, that when you're in a situation where, and I'm not saying that all women are vulnerable or all men are in vulnerable situations. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in order to build character, what shows true character is when you are in a situation where you can take advantage of it, but you choose not to because you know it's the right thing to do. And I think a lot of times we don't speak to that aspect of being a good person, and how that being in an environment in which you're trained, where the focus is on your character and not necessarily your outer appearance, because that's a lot of times for women or for men to, sleep with a lot of women to, show that, you're a man or what have you. We don't really focus on that aspect of I don't want to say man building or woman building, but character building. I'll say is that we don't focus enough on that.
No.
And so what happens is we end up coming into situations like this, where you have people that are manipulating each other for their own selfish reasons. We just need to focus more on the fact that, yeah, you can take advantage of people, you can steal, but just because you can do these things and maybe even get away with these things, or these things will benefit you, it makes you feel good, doesn't mean that you should do it.
I do have a question though. Like, Ricky, this is something that I hear a lot, that you describe women as children.
Yes, I do.
So when thinking about how a child thinks, how impressionable children are, how emotional or, rational and susceptible to influence that children are, why would you not think that men who have the same mentality that women are children wouldn't try to manipulate a situation if they're impressionable? You know what I mean?
That's a great question. I'm glad you did this to yourself. The thing is,
I mean, I just want clarification. That's all. I'm like, not did it to myself, Ricky.
Right. This is how I look at this. Right. Again, I take the information that women and consensus give me. Right. The thing is this: if that's the case, right? If that's the case, if women would to admit that, at that point y'all can resolve yourselves with all responsibility whatsoever. You really could. See, but you guys are not, you guys, no one on this panel as a whole, right? Black women, y'all the one who championed that y'all don't need a man, that y'all fully capable of doing it by yourself. Y'all don't need a man for nothing, right? So at that point, if you want to wear the crown, it comes with circumstances and responsibilities. But if you want to alleviate yourself and you want to subscribe to my thinking, that means you must subscribe to my rulership. You must, right? And that's why I say, if I'm as a man, like, and fellas, y'all need to listen to this. Every guy not rich, just like Cece said. When have you seen a 10, right? Every guy don't have a thing. But if I'm out here breaking my back every day to make your life better, why can't you fall in line? Why not? What's the fight? What's the argument? Hold on.
Okay,
hold on.
Hold on. Let me make my notes in the back.
I take care of the house. I take care of the car. I take care of the garden. I take care of everything. What's the problem? See, I believe in freeing y'all of excuses. That's what I believe. Right? Because if I'm handling my business, as y'all say, alpha man, taking care of this, allowing me a place to be in my femininity, blah, blah, blah. If I'm doing that and you got something to say, something wrong with you, not me.
So what I was going to say was, I agree with what you're saying, Ricky, but I think in the context of what we're discussing is, I'm not with you. Like, I'm getting to know you, and it's more the getting to know and the manipulation that comes with the mentality that women are like children. So that I'm not talking about like, I'm with you, get on my plan, follow me. But if I have the mentality, or if you have the mentality that women are children and women are truly like children, then you don't feel like there's a level of manipulation that men can have in order to coerce women for sex.
Even children know to stay away from a hot stove.
That's fair. That's a great analogy. They do know, but it takes them time to get burned, though. It usually takes them a time to go up and touch that hot stove. Like,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
But a stove cannot transform. A stove is a stove is a stove.
That's true too.
Again, it doesn't matter. It's still hot. You see what I'm saying? Again, look, this is where the problem lies in. And if we want to go deep into it, we can, right?
Let's go deep. I love a deep conversation.
This is wherein lies the problem. You see what I'm saying? Again, the simple fact of that, and it's not ladies, I want y'all to know it's not y'all fault. It's not y'all fault. You see what I'm saying? Your daddy's supposed to be teaching you this shit. Your daddy's supposed to be
What my
this.
dad supposed to teach me? Can you clarify?
Your dad was supposed to teach you how to know what to look in for men, to understand that consistency is is what you need. That a man that's really interested in you will give you time. He will give you effort. He will prove to you he's the man he is. Now y'all got to understand, there's some guys out there that do that shit, but that happens to everybody. It's a gamble. That's what's wrong with a lot of women. Y'all think it ain't no gambling involved when y'all in Vegas. It's Vegas for everybody, baby. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, if you had a dad around doing his job, you would increase your odds exponentially, right? And minimize the mistakes. But a lot of fathers are in the home, whether they were too scared or too afraid or not man enough to do the job they do, or the mother ran them away. Either way. You see what I'm saying? And this is why I tell y'all, get married, raise your families. That way we have a baseline for the next generation. So again, they can raise their children correctly and so forth and so on. Right? But everybody's stuck on this I, like this the 80s and shit, like Ronald Reagan still in office. The I's, the me's, when we all should be French. We need to get back to we. And a lot of people in relationships and y'all supposed to be we, and y'all still playing I, my career, my this, my that, and y'all wonder why it don't work.
I actually I agree. But I think the other issue too is in relationships. Even when you'll say we're focused on we, that should be the focus, which means both parties' needs are being met. And I think sometimes what happens, and I'm not saying you guys, because I don't know you at all, but I can go just based on things that I have seen and witnessed myself, or even, sometimes in these YouTube streets, is that some men don't truly understand the meaning of headship or leadership, and they use that to really as an underlying thing to get their needs met only. So it's kind of like, well, I'm working, I need you to do this. Is being used in a wrong way. And so in a situation like that, when the partner or the man in a relationship is not leading in the manner in which he should, then that's where I think it becomes a situation where it's a push and pull, because as a woman, you feel like he does not consider your feelings or needs, are being met. Yet as the wife, you are doing what you were taught. Like you guys have heard me talk about my mom before and my dad and their relationship, and the fact that she was one of those women who were raised right. She had her dad in a home. She saw a good marriage, and her naivety was the fact that she thought all marriages were like what she grew up in. So she got married to my dad expecting that he was going to be like what she saw in her dad, and it wasn't like that. But yet, because the way she was raised, she continued to be the wife, but she didn't necessarily get her needs met in that situation.
Right. And I understand that, but this is what I'm saying when it comes to that type of stuff, right? I don't, again, if y'all looking to pick my brain, I don't believe in one-way relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? For men or women, look, the same way you owe a responsibility to that man to watch his six, to be his nurturer, to be there for him when the world's against him, is the same way he should provide a space for you and protect you. If he's not doing that, why are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Y'all say y'all can recognize weak men. Stop fucking weak men. Stop doing it.
But I mean, is it really weak? I mean, if the average, are we talking about income, right?
No, I'm talking about income ain't got nothing to do with being a man.
It does.
Right, but the scenario that you presented, you were like, oh, I do all this, I do all that.
Right, I do. Again, that was me just scratching the surface. Again, if y'all want to pick my brain, let me know. Right, but I provide a space for my woman. No excuses, no contingencies. I'm a leader at all times. My leadership is not conditional, right? I'll present my leadership to my wife as a man, and if she's out of pocket, we gonna have a discussion. If she can't get in line, we got decisions to make.
Oh, I agree with that. But again, what anybody have a question for Ricky before I say what I was about to say?
No, I just wanted to say I agree with what you were saying before. I think Mistaken followed up and said she agreed too. I agree with that. But I am conflicted a little bit because of a comment that was made earlier about women and um, I'm trying to go back to the comment that you made. So you were just talking about how um, the woman, like the whole role, like that. But it was a comment earlier. I was
Is
writing.
is it describing women as children?
I don't agree with that, but
Oh,
no, it
okay.
wasn't that. It was another comment when we were talking about earlier. I was writing and then I lost my train of thought because I heard something else interesting. I'll remember and come back to it.
It's okay.
Anybody?
I
Oh,
don't necessarily agree with that. That women are like children. In
No,
my
and
opinion.
mind you, I only brought it up because it's something that Ricky has said.
No, like I said, no, it's all good. I mean, that's we here to have a conversation. I don't
Right,
necessarily think that women are like children. I think saying that absolves them of the responsibility of discernment and intelligence and autonomy that they claim to have, which I'm not knocking. But then when you say women are like children, it's for the way that it sounds is that the men are responsible, and I agree we are responsible. We are the leaders. I understand that. But two things can be right at the same time. We can be the leaders, and then women can also be responsible for themselves as it relates to how they conduct themselves, the situations they put themselves in, all of that kind of stuff.
Agreed.
But I agree with Ricky in the sense that, having a father to teach you that is important.
I agree.
To give you that intelligence and all that stuff, that kind of stuff. How men move, when they say this but they do that, if they're not consistent, all of those types of things to kind of run that game down to you.
Gotcha. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead,
No,
Miss.
I was just gonna say I mean I don't like the analogy of saying like women are children, but one of the things that I can appreciate, like when I'm thinking about a child relationship, with their dad, is I would not mind my husband coming to me with a soft heart the way that they do with especially men with their little girls. So in that regard, I can appreciate that analogy as treating me as, I don't want to say as a child because it sounds condescending, but that concern for taking care of and protecting. That aspect I can appreciate as a wife, knowing that my husband looks at me in terms of, I don't want to say vulnerable in a negative sense, but like the weaker vessel, in the sense that he feels the need to want to take care of me and to protect me and come to me with a soft heart and talk to me from that place of love, like you would a child. Men just seem to be much more softer with their children, as opposed to when they're relating with their wife or what have you. So in that regard, I can pull a little bit from what Ricky is saying and can look at that aspect of a child, but being condescending in terms of, and not saying that you were. I'm
Yeah,
saying in
no,
terms
you
of
good,
the
you
way,
good.
yeah.
I'll explain.
Mhm.
And again, listen, and why I say the things I say them to hit certain points and to make you think about it. You see what I'm saying? Now, again, this is not y'all. I've never heard you ladies on this panel. As long as I've seen and I watch y'all, I've never heard y'all. But for me to say I haven't heard multitudes of women come up with these excuses. Listen to what I'm saying. No matter what, the man should be responsible, right? Keep the D in his pants, right? The reason your women act like this is because you're not doing A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Y'all put y'all woman in line. Y'all supposed to be the man. The reason why your woman act this way is because you let her get away with it, right? So just like Thinking Man podcast said, right? If y'all can't be responsible for the part y'all play in it, which a lot of these women do, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Please, let's be honest on this point, which a lot of these women do, no matter what part they played in it, no matter what happened, it come back on what the man did. I'm sure y'all done heard stories from plenty of y'all girlfriends. Yeah, I did this. I left him down. They'll never say what they said. They come up with everything the man did. You always get a one-way story. So with that being said, right, if it always come back on me, and no matter what, I got to get the responsibility, the accountability, and the freight. What else could I call a woman but a child? Because that's who got kids up here. No matter what your kid do, you responsible for it, correct? Take your car, even though you told them, don't take the car. It's for your safety, right? Don't go to that party. I'm telling you, them kids that's at that party, they bad news. Don't go there, right? But they go, and who get that call at 2 a.m? Right? So if women continue to do this, if y'all continue to put it on the man, and if I'm gonna be responsible for everything, you're a child. I don't think y'all that, but this is what the women in ad nauseum is representing, right? Even this goofy, right? Because you don't like the way I say stuff, but it's the truth. Right? No matter what you do, no matter what you do, no matter how the man plays it, you could be right or wrong or indifferent. It always comes back on the man. So if that's the case, what else is a woman but a child?
With that analogy, it makes more sense in the context.
Well, I think my purpose in asking the question is, why is it that character is normal? Bad character is normalized. Like we're just going to accept that it's okay to be deceptive.
I don't. If y'all watch my channel, I always put it off. We should be better people. We should be better. But what y'all got to understand is that the game is this way because the women allow it to be.
Well, let me just ask you a question, because I think that what happens is people, and don't get me wrong, I know it's a great deal of them, but people like to clump all women into this group, like the women. People come with different backgrounds. There are damaged women out here. It's like, didn't grow up with fathers that may have other issues, and we're all clumped in together. You understand what I'm saying? So it's hard. What it seems like is people are just treating all women like they're just the same.
You
understand?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I hear what y'all saying. But again, it just like look, I know plenty of great men, right? But again, when we have conversations, what's the loud minority? You see what I'm saying? It's the same with y'all. I champion good women. I champion. You see what I'm saying? I ask guys why they look past y'all when y'all looking at these ghetto brat dolls. You know what I'm saying? I champion. But the thing is, we focus on the negative, but we don't give ways or solutions how to get to the positive. I give those. You see what I'm saying? Be a lady at all. You want to you want the man you desire. Be a lady at all times, because in your feminine, you will always get the answers you need.
Right? But even a woman who is a lady can be deceived.
No, you can't. You see what I'm saying? Because if you listen. Okay, since you don't know, I'm about
sometimes those are women who are sometimes listen.
Free game Fridays. I'm about to give you free game. If you're in your feminine, Shantae.
Okay.
I'm talking about 100%. 100%. You don't open no door. You don't wash no car. You be a lady at all times. I mean that in action. You ain't arguing with no man. You ain't fussing with no man, nothing, right? You cooking for him on the first date, not in no paper plates, like you said, he ain't at the house. That's what you said, right? But if you presenting yourself as a lady, right? You in your feminine, right? You giving him 100% of what you are, not giving it to him, but showing, right? If he takes advantage of you as a woman, you got your answer.
But what I'm saying to you is, okay, what if he did everything right just to get into her pants? He deceived her, because guess what? Everybody don't come from the street of hard knock life. They don't know the streets like that. Okay, not everybody.
I got you. It's as simple as this. Again, I ain't gonna give you no excuses, Shantae. It's as simple as this. You shouldn't be giving it up until he ready to marry you.
And I agree. Listen, I preach that all the time. I agree. But that's
Right?
not what's happening.
It's just that simple. But again,
That
like I
was
said,
happening.
hold on, Tay. The women, y'all made the marketplace like this. Don't get it twisted. Y'all made it this way. We simply play by the rules that y'all give us. That's all we do. Now, once we get with y'all, once we in that relationship, we're responsible because we chose you. But until we hit, nothing happens.
Agreed.
Y'all made it this way. Y'all control the culture. Once y'all get right, dating to get right. But as long as y'all are here loosey-goosey, giving yourselves up, not having any standards or morals, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Well, do you think you can put the genie back in a bottle at this point? I'm being honest. Out of curiosity, can the genie be put back in a bottle? Because you have so many women. So even if you have those women who hold higher standards for themselves, they're still competing against other women who don't for the same men. So if everybody, or if the women who want to get married are saying, all right, I'm shutting it down because that is my goal, that's my focus, do you think men would really change their behavior in to get those women, or just go ahead for the easier women, which is is going to give it up?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. See, but this is where y'all problem come with the sisterhood. Y'all move as a unit, correct?
No.
Yeah, that's a lie.
A lot of women do not get along.
Not
My friends don't move like that.
But that's what's crazy then, right?
My friends are married.
Again, look, it's not we talking about the major majority of women, right? I'm not talking about a married woman because this don't apply. This don't even apply, right? I'm talking about the majority, not y'all, right? Because it's never you. It's always the lady next to you.
Well, that's the reason why we're bringing it up, because we are. This is the issue.
I take full ownership of my flaws, Ricky.
Right.
Don't make it.
I should hope so.
Full ownership and accountability of my flaws.
This is what I'm saying. The same way. If y'all was at my show early, Shantae was there. I was giving them in the business at the beginning, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I was the same way.
Well, that's why I brought you. I know that you're going to, I do believe that you hold people accountable.
Period.
You are.
Period, as y'all like to say. Period. Right? Point blank.
I don't subscribe to that language.
I don't say period.
Right? But this is what I'm saying, right? No matter what y'all say, bro, some of the talking points that are egregious, some of the stuff that goes on that girls turn and look the other way, right? Y'all need to start damning that shit. Y'all need to bring shame back into the community. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't sit up there. If a dude bogus, right? I might not tell y'all, but I'm gonna pull that dude to, hey man, you out of pocket, bro. Right? The same thing y'all expect us to do is hold other men to accountability. Y'all don't do to each other. Y'all don't. As a majority,
we do.
As a majority, you see again. That's the thing about perception, because you can only look at it out your eye lens. We talking about the entire problem as a whole.
Oh, I get it. But is that because those minds think alike? They probably don't see anything wrong with it. So that's the issue. You have damaged women trying to guide damaged women.
Right. So similar how mistaken.
Right.
Like, how do you put the genie back in the bottle?
And that sounds like a y'all problem. To fix men is our responsibility. To fix women is y'all's.
Well, that's why we have the platform, because we call, I think our first few episodes was about, appearance matters, how you carry yourself matters. We do try to touch on those topics all the time. I don't think that, at least here we do. I can't.
They have a memoji now with a bonnet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've lost, Shantae.
They have a what?
A memoji now has a bonnet.
Sorry, thinking, man. But see, that's what I'm talking about, right?
We
haven't won, Shantae. The bonnet is now an emoji.
And this is what I'm saying, sis. This is what I'm saying, sisters, right? I said on cruise season specifically, Black women control culture.
They do.
Why don't y'all change the culture?
We try.
Well, the thing is like you said, the minority get the louder voices, because most women are not wearing bonnets. Most women are not running the street looking like, they got a pimp. Like, most women are not doing that.
It's
But what
enough.
do you
It's enough
see
of
on?
to change the dynamic, and that's the
No,
problem.
it does. The
Right?
problem is because now we have social media, and that's what you're going to see most of the time on social media.
Because
But
they have
when
nothing to lose. They're sitting there, most women have something to lose. We're like, okay, I have to carry myself in a professional manner. We're not just like, like we're looking at them the same way you're looking at them. Like, what is she doing?
The majority of the women who have something to lose aren't the women who are on social media doing these things.
Agreed.
exactly.
So
But
then
they're
would
the
it be
women
safe
you
to?
see.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tan. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I
I
was just
think a
gonna say
man's
they're
been trying to talk. Come
Yeah,
on,
my
thinking
bad,
man.
bro. My
No,
bad.
no, it's cool. No, it's
Come
all
on
good.
in.
We got time.
The water's warm. Jump in.
No, what I'm saying is, so based on what y'all are saying, would it not be safe to say that ratchet black women control the culture?
And that's going to
I
be,
guess so.
let's pause for that because I'm going to get to that question in a second. Okay. Thinking man, give it 2 seconds. Let's finish this one out. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's going to kind of sum things up with the next question. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if I should say this, but it's something that Ricky said that made me think of something that I just witnessed the other day. And it disappointed me in 2 ways. And I feel bad because he's not here, but I'm still gonna say it since Ricky brought this up to my mind about men holding other men accountable. Have I seen that? Absolutely. Ricky, I think you do a great job at that. With calling things out, and I've
Facts.
seen Trill do the same thing. Thinking
Facts.
man, I've heard you like y'all are even across the board that I've seen.
That's why we invite you to this panel.
Right. But I witnessed something on the Thursday show that really, yeah, you were on the show. That kind of disappointed me with the other men. And it has happened more than once. And I respect Logic. I respect Logic. I'm cool. I like him as a person. But there are quite a few times that I've seen Logic get out of pocket, calling women bitches, shut the fuck up, all of that kind of language. And not once have I heard any man that was sitting on the same, platform as him when this was going on, hold him accountable to say, yo, bro, not here. Let's not do that. Nobody. And to me, it just, I guess it bothers me in that we're all here for the same reason in terms of the upliftment of us doing better. So we do need to hold each other accountable. But the fact that I don't know if it's because you guys have relationships or what have you. I don't know what it is, but nobody said anything. And that really, it bothered me because I know what the purpose of this show is. But when we're talking about holding each other accountable, it also means even when it's uncomfortable, even, you don't hold, if somebody does something disrespectful in public, you then don't talk about it privately because that person needs to apologize publicly for the disrespect. But not one guy ever stepped in to say, you know what, bro, we're not going to do that. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. I might have should have kept my mouth shut, but I can't. When we're speaking to things like this about being accountable, just like I expect somebody to hold me accountable if I say something out of pocket. And actually Logic held me accountable one time because I said something to somebody and he held me accountable, and guess what I did? I said, you know what, you're right, my bad, I apologize to the dude with what I said. It was the guy about the Vaseline. And he did. He held me accountable. He was like, "No, we're not going to do that." And I was like, "You know what? You're right. I shouldn't have did that. My bad. I apologize." But I don't see that happen amongst the guys. And Logic does this constantly, and nobody says anything. So I just wanted to point that out. But I digress. You can move on.
Did anybody want to address that?
I wish he was here, and you said that because I don't have an issue with saying that, but I just wanted to point that out for all of us to be on the same page in holding each one of us accountable, because we all can be better. We all need to be better and need to strive for that. But sometimes, it seems like it doesn't get checked. But I'm done.
Well, I think that what is happening is in a lot of these spaces, to the chats, the one guy put in there, I have heard JR step in. I don't know about Thursday, but I have asked for him to step
Who was Logic talking to? If you're gonna bring it out, who's he talking to?
He was talking to Kay. It was cringeworthy.
Okay, right. So have you seen the other times where Kay have called him out and came out of pocket with him, or Kayla, and totally disrespect him, and nobody called a woman out? See, you can't do that. You can't step out a woman's place and then expect protection.
Well, I also, again, like we said about doing, and I think in that situation, she really didn't. His reaction didn't warrant. Sometimes Logic just gets upset when he gets annoyed.
Right. And
And in that situation, he just didn't agree with what she was saying.
Again, we can't erase the history between them. You see what I'm saying?
We can't, but I do know there was a time where I think it happened last week. Then when that guest they had an argument, I did hear Siobhan step in and say, "Hey, let him speak." I do remember there was an argument between. I know Chicago Really also stepped in, but I did hear Siobhan trying to tell Kay, wasn't it Kay? She's not letting him speak.
I'm not, like I said, if you would have came, I'm just being honest with you, Miss Taken. If it was anybody else besides those names, I definitely had something to say. But I can honestly say I've been on several panels with Logic, and he's being definitely he's being respectful. He isn't lifting his voice up, and those guys they'll come at him with a fervor like a tag team wrestling match. So that's something they need to work out between them. I'm not going to speak on it past this. That's something they need to sit down and talk about. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
I agree, but is about the behavior as well, though. I agree. That's something that they do need to handle in private and have that conversation. But when somebody calls you a bitch or say shut the fuck up, even when the other person, now they may have said stuff to get off his nerves, but they never went to the level of calling him a bitch, because I know for men that's a big thing. So if they took it there and was like, oh, you shut the fuck up, you bitch. I'm just saying it could have happened. I'm just saying I never, since I started watching the show, I've never seen that. But I have seen that happen several times from Logic. So whatever the beef is, yes, they need to work it out, but that still doesn't dissolve the accountability piece of holding each other accountable. When I got out of pocket, Logic checked me, and I didn't have an issue with it.
Me too. I called a guy's comment a bitch, and I got called out too.
And what did you do?
I apologize.
You apologize. So it doesn't matter I'm not going to say that the relationship don't matter. Yes, you're going to be triggered at times. I get it, because even one time I think it was chaotic when he was here. I drank a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, and the stuff that he was saying, I think we all ended up getting triggered. And I was out of line. But what I do, I corrected my behavior. I have never had, since that episode, I have never had another drink because it took me out of character and I wasn't able to maintain my composure. So I made the adjustment myself. I've only been drinking water ever since. So what I'm saying is not a situation in which I'm being biased or anything like that. It's all about accountability that you spoke about. And I remember one time Logic got on me because I tried to check a situation with, I can't remember, with a caller or somebody that says something, right? And I tried to check it because nobody said anything, and then Logic got on me and was like, whoa, slow your roll. That's not your place to do that. We're here as men to do that. Let me handle that. And I okay, you got it. But I had jumped in because I'm like, okay, nobody's saying anything. But I digress. I'm gonna leave that because he's not here. But that just popped into my mind when you had said holding each other accountable.
I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna leave it at that though.
And you know what? We can all do better. I think we all have had our moments and we can all improve. That's what we're here to do.
Yes, I've learned never to drink tequila on live again. That just will not happen.
We will talk because we love Logic. We will talk to Logic.
No, I mean Logic is good people.
He's cool.
He is good
It ain't
people.
no beef. Not at all.
But last night was cringeworthy. I have to be honest. I cringed and I sat back and cringed.
Okay. I didn't watch the whole thing. I gotta be asleep at a certain time. I got it an hour in. It happened after the hour. So I missed that part. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But moving on. So thinking man, can you run that question back? Because it's gonna go into my next question. I told you to pause for a second.
Mhm.
So can you run that question back? The question that you asked about women and culture.
No, I was just asking, based on what y'all were saying earlier, the classy, more professional character, moral, morally wrecked women do not run this culture. It's the ratchet black women that run the culture. Those are the ones you see on Instagram. Those are the ones you see with the bonnets. Those are the ones who are the loudest in the room. So my question is, are those upstanding black women speaking out and holding them accountable with the same energy?
So does anybody want to handle that first? I don't think that those women are associate themselves with those. I think women who carry themselves in a proper manner don't even associate with those type of women. And it's unfortunate because it needs to be, said, but let's just be honest. I think we've mentioned this before. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I see somebody to me who is showing me, ratchet behavior, as they would like to call it, I'm not stepping to her because I know when a person can beat my ass, and I ain't getting in no fist fight. I ain't no fighter, So I can politely say, I mean, there's no nice way to say you look a little ratchet, without getting them hands. I got the ball up method.
But I think
I got nothing else for you.
But I think
The only hands you got are the praying hands.
You gotta know your weakness, and I ain't a fighter.
But that response kind of is representative of what we as men face as well.
No,
But right, so it's a conundrum for sure. Like it's an issue, but if you are hands off in your approach, at some point you got to have a conversation. You know what I mean? At some point, something has to be said.
Well, I think that for me in particular, and I know the same for Mistaken, is we are in a situation on a day-to-day because of our jobs that we can be a voice. But the problem is we can preach it all day long for the hour that we may see a young person. But if the home life does not mimic what we're teaching you for 1 hour while you're in my presence, and then when you leave my presence, I only have you for an hour within a year, sometimes a semester. So and you go back to I can say, hey, and they'll be like, okay, but then they go back to their ways. It's like it's a whole culture that needs to change. The worst thing, let me just say this, I'm gonna be honest. The worst thing that could have happened to Black culture is TikTok. Not YouTube, because I think that these conversations are need to be had, but TikTok and all these social media platforms. And when we've allowed people who we'd have never given them this much power of a voice in the past to represent us, they can, because it's no censorship. It's you have a camera, you can upload it, it can go viral, boom, there it is. And then people, after it goes viral so much, people think that that's popular, that's cool, and it's just not. So how do you stop that? What people like us are doing, we try to limit our kids from seeing it, but if we're only limiting our children from seeing, there are other people who don't care. They're like, okay, it doesn't matter, So it's just, you can do what it's just, I don't know. Anybody else want to help out with this?
It's also the mindset to want to change. Like, we could talk to your blue in the face, explain to you why it's so important, but if there's not a desire for somebody to change, they're not going to. And the question really is, like, how do you reach a demographic to give them that desire to change.
Because they
And
think that's cool. They
and that's the hardest thing. Like I see it all the time. I think yesterday I was talking about it. On our flight to Dubai, there were bonnets everywhere. It's like a sea of bonnets. Okay, wear them on the plane. Take it off. Nobody in my group was wearing a bonnet. But getting off the plane, now you're in the airport, walking around the airport, bonnets everywhere. So it's like, of course, I'm not as surprised to see a memoji that's popped up with the bonnet. Because and to your question, Monique got dragged. And I get that she probably wasn't the best person to deliver the message, but all she requested was, hey, hold yourself to a level of respect when you travel. Be more presentable when you leave the house. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Like, your image should be something that you want everybody to see at its best. And that was what was most important about that conversation. But she got dragged and people said, don't tell me what to do. I'll do whatever I want. If I want to wear a bonnet in public, I'll wear a bonnet in public. Who are you to tell me what to do and XYZ? But it's representation of yourself that you should care more about than what she's saying. So when you ask, like, are women actually using their platform, or women who don't do these things saying things? Yes, but the response is going to be exactly that. Like, how do you get them to change their mindset? Because if you go to Atlanta Airport, there's a sea of bonnets at all times.
Where do you guys think that the disconnect happened, though? Because obviously it's a disconnect.
Let me just tell you this, and that was going to my question. Why do you think that? So in the fashion world, we have what's called a trickle up, the trickle up, trickle down, or trickle across. Okay, so trickle up means that you take fashion from, low income areas, and now the elite is wearing it. So I like to use this same method as it relates to what's popular. Why do you think it's so intriguing for ratchet, low class behavior to be popular and influence so many people? Why do you think that we give that so much power? Why do we gravitate towards that?
It's what sells. That's really what it is. It is what sells.
So but the question is, what makes it sell? Meaning, if you gravitate towards it, they're selling it to you, you're buying it. So why do you think it's so intriguing enough to buy into?
Because there's no moral code to it. It's just fancy free, do whatever you want to, move how you want to. No, it's without care. And I think, everybody wants to, be careless. We often talk about children sometimes. You see a kid playing and you hear parents say, look at him playing over there, not a care in the world. Right? So without that care in the world, that's how grown adults are moving out here. You know what I mean? So this ratchet behavior kind of harkens to that, not a care in the world. And I think some of us, or all of us rather, would like to not have a care in the world, but we're responsible. So, I don't know. It's a good question, though. It's a really good question.
That's a very good question.
It's entertaining.
Over.
It's entertaining to the massive for whatever reason. It's I don't know.
Not to me anyway.
Let's look at the song F and F.
What's F and F?
That nigga free.
Go ahead, CC. How it go, CC?
For free.
Listen, I know the song.
What's up? Go ahead.
But I don't know the lyrics.
Words. Say it, just say F, and I'll know what you're talking about. So what are the words?
F Ninja Free. So the song with the girl who, it's her and her friends. She's actually a multimillionaire now, right? The video is what went viral, right? The video of the pregnant girl with the Hennessy bottle. The video, they're in the middle of the intersection and they're twerking, and it's one of the.
Have you seen this?
So it's a pregnant girl with a Hennessy bottle? Yeah.
And
you've never seen this video?
No.
I haven't seen it.
Well, needless to say,
it's on BET Uncut.
I'm pretty sure the video has gone viral, right? This woman is now a multimillionaire, from a ratchet situation. It was, it's what's entertaining to people.
So is the ratchet culture similar to like the punk rock, grunge, goth culture for, other races of people? The
No, because
rebellious, the
I would
moralist.
say yes, but the difference is that we don't get the same I guess the same pass on that. I don't think it necessarily that grunge is a subculture within itself and it stays the subculture, so to speak. Whereas it appears that our ratchet culture is a reflection on the entire culture. You don't see that the grunge culture is a reflection on the entire culture. But it appears that even though I would say the ratchet culture is a subculture because the vast majority of Black people don't move that way. But I guess just historically, we don't have the freedom of moving as individuals because we're all seen the same. So when you have this subculture that is being ratchet, now all of a sudden all Black people behave like that. And then when you encounter the few that aren't, it's like, oh, you're not like them. You know what I'm saying? When the vast majority of us are not, like that.
it's so funny because you remember that video that SNL did about Beyonce, and they were like, Beyonce's Black? She's not Black. Y'all didn't see
When
that?
she had when she came out with this song, the hot sauce.
You're not Black.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm Black. No, you're not Black. Not that's Black. And then they with the guy across the street with his pants, and he's like, "Well, that's Black." But you're right.
I put the video in the back chat just in case anybody needed it for reference. Just in case you want to see a snippet of it.
Listen, so again, I wonder. I think it's okay to have fun. We're not saying we're trying to take the fun away, but I think that this whole era of I can do whatever I want, I'm free to be me. It's cool to be yourself and to just be, and not have any type of class about yourself. I do think that you guys, if you chime in, you have to have your camera on. Oh, that's Hank. Never mind. But I think that we live in a era where it's like you can be free, but at what cost? Nobody, there are no guidelines, no rules. It's just do whatever you want, no matter how.
It's interesting you say that because I think I just saw an article about Mimi Faust, and it was saying that her daughter, someone in her class, now her daughter's older, and I don't know if you know about Mimi Faust, they released a sex tape.
Yes.
And now her daughter's old enough and her child is now like, so in her class was like, well, I know about your mom's video. So it's like when she did it and you release this, right, for publicity, were you thinking about the child you have? It's coming back it's coming back to hit you in the behind, but you did this thinking like, I'm gonna get publicity and clout, and now you have to deal with the fact that your child has to deal with the fact that you put out this video. So it's very similar to that.
And that's the same thing that Kim Kardashian is going through.
All of them. The Kardashian children are.
The whole Ray J thing stemmed because her son brought a video up to her, and the video was a cartoon or something, and it was talking about a sex tape, and she wanted it to be forgotten. But guess what, sweetheart? Your kids are gonna know about that sex tape.
Absolutely.
You know Ray J, they're gonna know because he's not gonna allow you to do that. I'm so glad he spoke up for himself because he could have just let it, But I'm so glad that he spoke up for himself. Don't take the fall for that. Like, come on. I'm pulling Hank up. Hi, Hank.
Hey, Hank.
Hi, Hank.
You're muted.
I don't want to call him Hank because he calls me Chantel. I don't know why. He just does.
Hit that like button in this interim. Do we have any super chats?
Thank you, Shamar. Let me go through these super chats and we'll get you, Hank, okay?
You read them, Cece.
Okay. Me.
Thank you, Harrison. He's on.
Harrison Davis, $10. Y'all have a fantastic night. Gotta work. I got work to do at 5 a.m.
That money, don't let that money make you.
Hack, $2. I'm an 88 baby, but it's something about mistaken. Hey. And she is looking good tonight. Rebellious videos.
I had to take the braids out, but I want them back in.
Listen, rebellious videos, $2. Women use men money they don't like. So it's just that, I mean, that was the comparison.
Yeah,
That we get used for sex, we use you for money. So that was the comparison. Jason C, $5. I'm confused. Wasn't it just said that women are better at cheating, deception than men, but now they are also more susceptible to the lies of men? I think that's apples and oranges. If I'm in a relationship with you and I can creep, then we creep better than you. But susceptible to lies? Yeah, it could happen. There's naivety. Congo. Ricky Williams, you hitting it. Thank you, Congo. I guess he was hitting the spot. He's a knockout TKO. He appreciates everything. He got all the emojis.
Thank you, everybody who sent a super chat today. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate that for supporting the channel. Make sure you guys hit that like. But I just messed my whole train of thought up. It was one of those people who had a comment. I mean, somebody had a comment. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Hink, what up?
Let's start that hoes get lied to, because it fits right into our conversation.
Oh, that's the thing, deception. I'm talking about people, deception, period. I don't care who you are, you man or female. Stop deceiving people. That shit gonna come back on you, gonna curse your whole family off deception. Why would you even want to run your household like that? Why would you even want to carry yourself in a deceptive manner? Who does that? Why do y'all think that that's okay? I don't care what it is, man, woman, about money or whatever you're deceiving about. It's not okay.
And insert hoes get lied to, and Hink, you may continue.
Sorry.
Sound like Shantae was triggered. I mean,
triggered. Like, who raised these people? Like, it's crazy out here.
It seemed like before it was I ain't gonna say an anomaly, but it didn't happen as often. You had more of the opposite of people that would check the behavior and be like, no, you're not supposed to do that. Whereas now it seems like it just flipped upside down. Yeah.
It's promoted. It's
like
yeah, but it's being promoted, but it's what's going on in the home.
That's true too.
True.
There are no stewards. There are no shepherds. So if there are no shepherds, the wolves will do what they do.
Absolutely.
That's true.
I just feel bad.
Hold on, but I got a light question, Shantae.
Yeah.
Shantae. So no point in your life was you fuck nigga free. Now no point in your life.
Did you see her dance in the beginning?
Please watch the video for context. And I'm sorry
Shantae,
for sharing.
Don't let me find out you was at them skating rings in Alabama.
I did go to the skating ring, but it was not bumping to that kind of music. Absolutely. That was in the 90s, honey.
Nah, that was hold on. That was the fuck nigga free.
2005, they was doing it too. Nuck if you're buck.
I said the 90s.
Hold on. Fuck nigga free is the same as girl, you looking good. Won't you back that ass up? It's the same. Look at mistaken. Look.
I need to back that thing up though.
And Think I had dreads too, so you know when that part of the song came on.
I was.
So mistaken. So mistaken was out there. Fuck nigga free.
Yeah. It just didn't sound as bad back then. But yeah, I was.
Also, y'all some reform fast chicks, huh?
I love you. If when I was in college, if party was a class, I would have had a 4.0. Like I loved going to even now. Like I love the fact that my husband likes dancing. Like we'll dance together. Like I love that. We'll just get up in the living room, hey, and like a song come on because he loves music. And he'll be like, oh, come dance with me. And we just be jamming. So I just love dancing. So definitely. Yeah, I was out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me say these words right quick. Girl, you working with some ass shit. Like, come on now. Let's keep it real though. I mean, it's the same thing happening again.
ain't gonna let Shantae get past it. What went on in the skating ring in Alabama now? You wasn't over dry humping, was you?
My son was talking about
No, Shantae was Quad City DJs. Shantae was doing a Tootsie Roll.
I
Dang.
was.
She was doing a butterfly. Look,
You
she
call
doing it
me the
right now. That's
butterfly.
You
the,
gotta get to her era. You gotta get to her time frame.
Butterfly.
Look at
The
her.
butterfly. You just gotta get to the right time period.
Yes.
exactly.
Wow, doing about that. Yeah.
See?
hi.
Oh.
And what else? I was
Sexy,
talking
sexy.
about me.
Dang.
It's just evolved now to fuck nigga free. Let's just be honest, because I listen to Trina. So we already know.
Yeah, so I can get why that became like the Trina. But let me just tell you something about me. I was never, and people are gonna hate me if they want to. I was never the Trina fan or the Lil Kim fan. Even then, I didn't gravitate. I didn't knock people for being that way, but I never gravitated towards. I never bumped to a Lil Kim album. I don't even know the words.
Lil Kim, you
That wasn't my. That wasn't my.
Now you messing with Mistaken Heart, because she's from New York. When it drops, she gonna sing the whole verse.
I think she came for a concert at my college, and I was like one of the only people who didn't go. I was like, I didn't get it. Like, but that's just me. But I know that's unpopular. That was unpopular because most people were into that. It just never was my thing.
I think it's okay to have fun because like what we just displayed, everybody had their time. But I think where it becomes a problem is you cannot separate fun from reality and how you should conduct yourself in real life, business, relationships, and things that you can go to do your thing and have fun, but outside of that, there's a way you're supposed to conduct yourself, and I think those lines are getting blurred. You're seeing that behavior kind of bleed out into other stuff.
Ken, you know what it seems like? Some of these ladies be acting out what they're hearing. That's
Right.
the scary part about it.
Right.
What you say, Shantae?
Clarify for me. Can you elaborate for me?
Well, some of the words you're hearing in some of these songs, these ladies are actually thinking they could do the same thing. I mean, like they're excluded from the activity. I'm like, what the shit, man? Well, why are we doing this? This is foolishness. Don't.
But that's because there's no leadership in the house. Because if you think about it, bro, there's nobody sitting down with the kid in front of the TV to explain. That's not reality.
Yeah, this is
so you seeing women or little girls or teenagers, whatever you want to call it, acting out these things, fuck nigga free, all that bull crap, acting it out in real life. What is the city girls, So when Shantae, when you're talking about the manipulation, so you're seeing it on that end, right, with the women, and then you're seeing the dudes trying to run through as many women, move, wait, sag, all that kind of stuff, that whole culture. But it's because there is no leadership in the household. There are no parents at home telling their kids, son or daughter, that that's just entertainment. This is not real life. This is not how, But then it also brings the question, is it art imitating life or is it life imitating art?
I think at one point it was the reverse, where it was art imitating, life imitating art, in whichever way, and it got flip-flopped. But when you were saying that there's no one in a home, one of the things I wanted to bring up is we grew up in an era where we were latchkey kids, which meant our parents weren't home either. So I don't understand how that transition has happened where it's gotten as bad as it did, because I know we had a level of monitoring based on what we could watch. It was certain things we weren't allowed to watch. But guess what? Soon as our parents was at home, guess what we did? We watched what we were told we couldn't watch. You know what I'm saying? We went outside. They said, stay inside, make sure your homework is done. Guess what? They were at work. They could not monitor us. So we went outside. You know what I'm saying? So there were opportunities to get into stuff, but it never went as far as it did now. So when people be like, well, it's not like parents are home. We grew up in the middle of a crack era. You know what I'm saying? We were at home by ourselves. We were latchkey kids, and we still didn't. I don't know, just the level of disrespect and behavior that I see now, it just would have never happened. So I don't understand what happened.
Yeah, I agree with that.
it's crazy to me, because we were talking about this yesterday, the importance of foundation. You know, like the importance of the foundation is that you have to teach your children, like you have to be present and teach your children that this is going to happen. You're going to have to make decisions. You're not going to be able to protect your children at all times. But if the foundation is there, then, you know, they have what they need, the tools that they need to make the right decisions, right? So me and Kayla were actually talking about this, like as people decided last night that they were going to say, oh, these parties, there was no drinking, there was no alcohol at these underage parties. It's like, no, there was. Somebody snuck something in, and it was up to you whether or not you were going to get drunk or drink it or be part of, you know, smoking or whatnot. I even was exposed to drugs at a very, very early age in high school environments. So it was my choice either to participate or not. But because I had the foundation, I'm not going to go back to that party. I'm not going to hang out with these people. I'm not going to do those things. So I think it goes back to mistake in the home. The home is not the same. As you said, we had that foundation to say, hey, yeah, you see these things on TV, or I mean, social media is also different. We didn't grow up in an age where social media was so present. So now parents have to combat what censorship of social media, how much time they're spending on a computer. Before, it was dial-up. You couldn't get online without your parents knowing, because that AOL dial-up was loud and you couldn't hide it. It's like, okay, you log on, and the phone line would have been taken up, and you would have got yelled at for holding up the phone line. Like, your mom trying to call and it's busy. You already knew what time it was. Now it's not the same thing. It's like they have so much more access to, and they're so impressionable. Yeah. I mean, I was actually talking about this today, like even with bullying. Bullying was something that happened at school. Now bullying can happen 24/7 because of social media. And now you're seeing an increase in children who are like 11, 10, 9 committing suicide. And it's like, what era do we live in? So it's hard to say, like, because I can imagine being a parent now. I mean, Shantae, you have a young child, and it's like, you have to put that censorship up. I have a friend who, she got into her son's inbox, and the type of messages that he was having with another young girl online was like, what kind of sex talk is this? You know, like, holy crap! Like, how do you even know what this is? And they had to censor their Instagram account because you don't know what your children have exposure to.
Yeah, but see, you know what y'all was doing last night. According to Kayla, it was sanctioning that parents provided the alcohol.
Well, what Kayla was saying is that there are parents who did allow their children to drink.
But that's trash parenting, though.
I don't disagree with what. That's fair to say that they were right. That's fair to say that parenting style may not be the best parenting style, but to refute what Kayla was saying is not true. There were parties you went to at which parents provided alcohol and said, as long as you stay here and drink it, I'm okay with it. So it is.
Act like it's okay, though. I mean,
I don't think she was acting like.
Well, no, that's what we were saying. It was okay. Like, what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. For us to be at our friend's house in a safe space to have alcohol amongst young adults. I mean, 17-year-old kids.
And I have to say, I know parents who were like that. Who said, I would rather you drink
my mom was trying to back that thing up
somewhere else.
Here, too many people talking at once. What did he say?
No, and I'm telling Hank, like, it is not uncommon to hear something like that. For me, I want you to drink it here. I'd rather you drink it here. If you want to explore something, I'd rather you explore it here with me versus exploring it outside with somebody else where they can slip something in your drink, or you're going to get too drunk. And it's, you know, I would rather you experience that type of feeling with me in a controlled environment than not. And that's not something that I haven't heard.
I have heard parents say that.
Yeah, but how about not telling them to don't do it at all? You're not ready for that.
Because they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
I understand they're going to do it. but
Yeah.
doesn't mean
We
you
don't
should
make
try to
it
open the
easy for
doors
them.
and say, "Come
Right.
on in."
You should be more preaching
Drink
of
up.
why you shouldn't do it. These are the consequences of doing, in opposed to saying okay. Because if you kind of allow them to do it, it's kind of like you giving an okay instead of just preaching, "Hey, you can't do it. I'm sorry. This is the reason why." Now, when they become adults and they end up doing it themselves, at least you did your part in trying to. I'm gonna get you saying. At least you did your part in trying to, preach the, why they shouldn't do it. You shouldn't be a part of the problem. You should definitely stick to your guns on why they shouldn't do it. And I agree with
What if
that.
one of them kids has an addictive personality where they turn into a damn young drunk? It could happen.
You can't have. I think the age is there for a reason. That age limit is there for a reason. I'm sure there are scientists who put that together that said, "Hey, this is probably the age where
So what do you say about in the Caribbean? My family's Caribbean. You could
They
go buy
drink,
liquor.
yeah.
You could go buy liquor. You could go buy liquor at 14.
In other cultures, they drink before the age of 21 anyway.
So it's only in the United States
Well,
that it's
I
heavily
think that-
regulated.
I understand, but I'm not in them cultures. I'm not part of that culture. So
I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't brought up like.
But so listen. At the end of the day, you shouldn't want to. Your child. I don't care what culture you're in. Alcohol is toxic. It's not good for your body. One thing about the culture is it's a known fact that it causes liver disease. It causes all these things. So you should not even want to introduce anything of toxicity on purpose to a young child. Period. I don't care what culture you are.
You got to let it go. You got to let it go, baby.
I'm just saying, wine is not unhealthy. But
wine is not unhealthy. Real fast, and it goes to Seda. But I wanted to point out, you're right. People are, I don't care what your foundation is. What I have learned in the environment that I am in, and I'm so glad I'm in it because I get to watch my kids in that environment, is that even the most strong parents, when them kids get to school, they are the impression. You said it right. Kids are impressionable. I shared this story before. I had a kid who was Muslim. I mean, geared up for a parent conference, and I have never seen that gear before at school. And when I went to look at her, and she was just like, I'm like, "Oh, did we change in the bathroom? Is that what we do?" So these kids, you may think that they are, and this has gotten. I mean, God sees you. They don't even say God sees them.
So many other times she's a ho, but all of a sudden she got right when parents was around, huh?
Listen, that social media, that influence, if that child is not strong, you have kids who are strong-willed. They have in their mind, I'm not going to go against the grain. My parents are my parents. This is my foundation. But you have those kids, no matter what the foundation is, you can teach them right. But when they get to school, twerk something.
I was that kid.
Change something.
Dang.
I'm sorry, and they get that gear back together to go home.
No, in the meaning of, and I think this happens. Okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead, because she wanted to say something. I'm sorry.
I don't want to say your name wrong. Go ahead.
Saida,
yes.
Okay, go
ahead. Hi, good evening.
And then we're gonna get you. I can't see. What does that say? What numbers are those?
651.
Yeah, 651. Go ahead.
So I was taking notes. There was a lot said, but I wanted to say that it definitely involves a parent and a child. It's not just a child, but like it can be a father, a mother there, but if the parent is not involved in the relationship that they have, nothing is going to happen. So when you're a young age, you definitely need a good foundation, like Cece mentioned. Once you are grown, you need self-awareness and consciousness, like to know, like probably you didn't have a good foundation, but now you are grown enough, matured enough to change your path. Now, I wanted to say that yes, there is social media, but we are still parents and we're still in control. There's apps that helps you to do that you can control how much time they have on TVs, on phones. You can actually set the TV for a time or two. What their content they're allowed to. Like my daughter plays Roblox.
But how old is your daughter? We're talking about these kids
9.
who are middle school, high school, and they have a cell phone. They're gonna get around.
No, my daughter has a cell phone. I didn't give it to her. It was her father. Her father gave her the phone. I wasn't very happy about it, but I was like, okay, so if you're gonna have a phone,
it's not like you have full access to it. Like the phone unlocks itself at a certain time and locks itself at a certain time. Like there is a schedule, and there is a schedule specifically like 30 minutes for this app. Once you runs out of those 30 minutes, then like it gives you allows you to use another app, but it's only she cannot install choose anything. Like it's very controlled. Even with this game that is very famous, Roblox, but I found out that there is a like a public chat where adults also chat in there, and I block it. You can block, for that. She can play, in the game, but she cannot talk or interact with no strangers out there. So there's ways to, you're not gonna put them in a bubble because you still need them to interact with technology. Technology is good, but you still have to, be involved in that situation. That's the part, that's your role, to keep up with the technology and the things that they do. Like she gets into video calls with her friends, but she has to be on speaker so I can hear what they're talking about. She's
Well,
allowed to go outside and I still can hear what they're talking about. So, like it's a matter of wanting to be involved in your kid's life.
I think that the issue comes because I think that most kids, young kids, conform. Like they want to do right by their parents. I think the issue comes when that middle school comes about and that high school, when they're a little older and they're getting past them blocks, or if their friend has a phone, and you'll be amazed at some of the stuff we
That
see.
peer influence gets very heavy at a certain age. But I would say even from I still think you still have to parent through that though. Like I was saying, I know we were raised the right way, like with both of our parents in a home and a foundation that they set for us. But even with all of that, we still didn't go straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? But you don't stray so far away. A lot of times, what you were taught, what was ingrained in you, doesn't necessarily always stray that far away from what you learned. Like I told y'all before, like I got pregnant before I got married. I moved in with well, he's my husband now, but moved in with him. That's how I ended up pregnant against what I knew, what I was taught. You know what I'm saying? So everything that I was taught wasn't, I didn't follow that path, although my life probably would have been a lot easier had I. But I didn't follow that path, but I didn't stray so far away from my teachings only because I knew that I wanted to marry my son's father. I didn't want to be a baby mother, you know what I'm saying? Just somebody's baby mother and then end up with somebody else and have kids, outside of that. So for me, it was, yes, I didn't walk the same path that I was necessarily taught, but I still ended up in the same direction of what my parents, taught. And so I do think that the parenting can't stop. A lot of times it stops when they get to high school. Like we see it, a lot working in a high school. We see where parents are not parenting. And actually, that's when you need to double down even more because the influences get much greater. And even for me, like we didn't buy into the fact that our kids had to have name brand everything and spending all of this kind of money. Nah, that's not happening. If you want that, then you need to find a job and then you can pay for that yourself.
Do
Like
you think,
this,
do you think
yeah,
it had something to do with the fact that there was a balance though? Like it seems like ratchet, 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 ratchet. If I don't even listen to regular channels. I just listen to the old school channel.
that
Like
was me.
like whereas before that wasn't the majority of the music, or that wasn't the necessarily the agenda that was pushed at the time. So it was easier for us because we did have positive things to look at. It wasn't, the ratchet wasn't the majority. It was there, it just wasn't, you had to stay up past 10 to be exposed to it you
I
know
think
Yeah,
I think the problem is that parents are just saying, no, you cannot do that, but not explaining the reason why or the consequences. And that's where parents lack off. You're just saying, don't do it. Like you cannot drink, or you can only drink here, but you can drink here doesn't mean that you're going to get effed up. Like that, I'm not allowing you to, not respect your limits. Like if I'm allowing you to drink here, like you were mentioning before, you still have to know your limits. You still have to know how far you're going to go, how far, how much alcohol you can handle. So it's more like teaching them the limits, also teaching them, you know, the consequences of like their decisions, because at the end of the day, I can let you have the phone, and you know, you if you don't have the phone, your little friend can let you borrow the phone and you can search for whatever, but you have to be conscious, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. So the consequences of, hey, if you talk to strangers, what's going to happen, that's the consequences. And that's when you put, you know, into your kids that information, that's where like, okay, you know, this might happen, so I better stop.
So
Yeah.
what
Kids
about
don't have
the
limits on how much they would drink. How would you sit there and say they should know their limits? Kids don't know their limit on how much they can drink.
Well,
No, I'm not talking about a kid at this point, you know, like, because you mentioned before that parents give alcohol. Like my dad gave me my first beer, but it was not like, I want you to drink. No, we were eating ceviche, and in my culture, that's the way that you eat it. You eat ceviche with a beer. But
Mhm.
I was 15, and his words are that ones that matter the most, and those words are here. I went out yesterday and I only had one beer. I don't care what nobody else tries to give me. I know my limit and I want to respect that. That's not my limit, but I
You
just
said
want
15, you had a beer.
let me tell you, Hank. I mean,
like
my
like
dad,
like you said, this is not your culture. I respect your culture, and in other cultures they do
They
that.
do drink.
I'm not and I'm not an alcoholic. I have never been an alcoholic. I have
Damn.
never been home like effed up. I've never got to that point. You know, but the words, what he said mattered to me. He said, I don't want you to ever grab one of these because someone else has pushed you to do it or to drink. I want you to understand that you are only going to drink if you want to drink, not because someone else tells you, oh, drink, whatever. No. And I have friends. I'm 36. And I have people that is like, hey, no, you should drink. Let's go. Let's continue. And I'm like, no, I'm done. You know, let's go to the after party. I'm good. I'm going home. You know,
let,
like there's still people, and you're grown up.
one of the
let
things
me
that y'all are
say,
talking about is having you have to have a relationship before you can have influence. So is it Saida? They
Cider.
said, yeah. So you talk about your father, and I can tell the way you talk about him. He's in your life, and you know, having conversations or had conversations with you at a early age. So what I was thinking about, old girl that was F nigga free doing all that stuff, right?
she got my daddy. And her mama probably ratchet too.
But and that's what I was kind of getting at. Like, where's the leadership? Not just on the man from a man's perspective, but the women saying, hey, I did the, you know, X, Y, or Z, back that thing up, Harlem Chef for skate in Alabama skate rings. Shantae, I ain't trying to put your business out there,
And that's
but
that perspective.
no, but I'm saying like, so you know that perspective said I did those things and these are the results of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so the girl with the F nigga free, you know, like she's not thinking 20, 30 years from now. Kim Kardashian, when she made that video, wasn't thinking 20, 30 years from now when her kids are coming to her with a cell phone saying, Mommy, what's this? You see what I'm saying? So, or, but, you know,
But
do
you know
parents,
what? But to piggyback on what you're saying, Ken, the parents, it's a mentality. I mean, if you talk about Kim Kardashian, it's all about the money. Your mom put you up to it. You understand what I'm saying? So you're learning from the person who is down for it.
Listen, she's the biggest pimp of all times. You hear me?
So it's not going to be taught. Now that she's a parent, she sees it like, dang, I probably shouldn't listen to my mom. But at this point, it's too late. You know,
but that's
sometimes
on
the
a,
parent is the problem. Is
that's
the
on a
mentality.
celebrity level, right? That's on a celebrity level. But how many parents are telling their children what they actually did when they were their children's age, the mistakes they made that they don't want their
It's the
kids to know?
why. It's
It,
definitely the why
I
that's
do.
missing, thinking man.
so then you say, okay, I did X, Y, and Z. Your kid look at you different because you want to maintain a certain
No,
authority,
it's what
you
you
know.
said in terms of the relationship. I think it's all like built on honesty in that communication. So my kids, they come to me, and when I say like literally talk to me about anything, they do. And the reason I believe that they do that is because when my husband and I did have those conversations, we wasn't necessarily always speaking from the authoritarian figure, like we never did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I understand what you're going through because at your age, I did X, Y, and Z. But now that I'm an adult looking back, I should not have done that because this is what the consequences could have been. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So when you're having those open and honest conversations, it makes them, like you said, it does make them look at you different, but not in the way that you think. I don't think it's a matter of losing respect. I think it's more of a gaining of respect, because now it's like, okay, so she gets it. She understands. As opposed to a lot of times with conversations with parents, we sometimes forget that we were kids once too.
Facts.
And we messed up. And we're always talking to them about don't do, don't do, don't do, but not from a perspective of don't do because I did. You know
And
what I'm saying?
let me just say
It's
this
the,
too. Okay, go. Who was going to say?
oh no, I was gonna say it's the why that's missing a lot of the times. You know, like and you know, these are conversations that as children, I guess, of the next generation. So we have one generation, we have the next generation, and we have these open dialogue conversations. So when COVID happened, we created a family chat, and that was something that came up. It's like it's the discussion of the why, you know, like stop hiding the why. Like, for example, you can't sleep over your friend's house, right? So it's like, why couldn't I sleep over my friends? We're mad. We're mad. But as an adult, I know now I was protecting you from being touched. I was protecting you from things that could have happened to you out of my sight. You didn't sleep over the house, even with your uncles. There was very clear lineage of certain things. Like you only could sleep over if it was your aunt's house. But the why wasn't there because it was those conversations that you did not want to have with your children. You wanted to protect them so much that protecting them makes them too naive to situations. So if you are like mistaken, and I agree with mistaken, given that why, like, okay, when you were a child, when I was a child, I did X, Y, Z. I ended up having an abortion. I did X, you know, it's those conversations that would impact like you said, like those are people that I trust more now because you're being honest with me. So I think it's really important as parents that you are sharing the why with your children. Not only no, don't do this, but don't do this because this can happen. This happened to me. This is what I experienced. So you have more of an idea of what the outcomes could be.
So the
And
naive,
especially now, why, with the fact that they are exposed to so much more at an earlier age now, you have to have those conversations, because even though they're exposed to it, doesn't necessarily mean that they know how to process what they're seeing the correct way. And so they're seeing all of this information without a level of filter, you know, knowing how to filter certain things. And so if you're not having these conversations, they're going to either make up their own reasons of why stuff is the way it is, or other friends are telling them some misinformation as well. So that was another reason that we had to be open and have those conversations, because we knew that they were being exposed to a lot more than what they should have been at certain ages.
Let me just say this too. If you really want to help your kid, you got to change that environment. For example, if you know that kid that kid goes to a school, if you can, if you know that kid goes to a school and you're not liking the surrounding, the kids that go to the school, you may have to move your kid to a school where that's not so cool. You know, because unfortunately those kids, peer pressure is something else. I promise I can't explain it any more than that. Like that peer pressure, you can talk all you want to, but we see it every single day. The best thing you can do for your child, if your child is one of those kids, you feel like they're going down a different path, change their environment ASAP.
Facts.
Look at their friends. Look at their friends. Research their friends. It's not hard because they're on social media. Look at how they move. And if your son or your child is moving, your daughter is moving the way is in their friendship, more than likely they're moving the same way. They're just hiding it from you. You feel me? So you have to be involved in your child's life on so many levels.
but does
Talk to
that
a
not
teacher.
contribute to what you were talking about, Shantae? As far as, remember, you asked a question earlier about, you know, how people are taking advantage of and manipulating people, right? Where are the morals? Where's the character and all that kind of stuff? It still
Right.
comes back to the home and what you're being taught at home. What foundational principles do you have?
Right.
Right. So I wanted to ask y'all this question because we see women say men don't have it. I wanted to hear what y'all take on it was. Do y'all think that women have emotional intelligence?
No, I think it takes emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
I think women are emotional creatures. And to listen, when you got that heart, that head, that mind just go like I see some intelligent women who are strong-willed. Once that heart is gone, you like, girl.
So then, would it be safe to say that there are women, respectfully, that should look into counseling or therapy to
Because
Absolutely.
listen. Look, this is what I'm saying. Emotional women. God made us emotional creatures for a reason. Okay. The problem is we have to maneuver in a system that's not normal. He did not mean for us to be deceitful. He did not mean so. So this is not. If we all go back to the normal way of doing things, we don't have to do all that. We shouldn't have to change. That's why you got masculine women now, because you're changing the dynamic of everything.
no?
You're like,
I
oh,
think
you gotta be a
I
man,
think
but
it's a
you gotta
difference
be a woman.
between.
You gotta be this, but you gotta no. Let's just do things right.
But I think being emotionally intelligent is responsible, discernment.
It
Absolutely.
takes a while.
You know what I
I
mean?
think it
Just
takes a
depends.
while though.
So I don't
People
think
has
it doesn't make a woman not feminine because she's
exactly.
emotionally intelligent. You know what I mean? So that's why I was asking the
Exactly.
question because that's a really big issue. So when you start talking about laying down with people, I got manipulated X, Y, and Z. Are you looking at self or are you pointing or are you trying to look at something external? It doesn't
Well,
So
so
if I may,
if things are done properly, that's something that two people can go through together. Just like he has his flaws and she has it, because you be married. Okay. The problem is when you're trying to learn it on the streets, you're going from one relate. So he may know something you don't know. Okay. You may not have gone through that because you've never gotten your heart broken before. You didn't know all of these things. All right. So you have to learn it the hard way. Then you go to the next one. You keep on learning this lesson.
But if you're getting
so
lost in your emotions, aren't you not emotionally intelligent?
so I
Absolutely.
have to say,
Learn.
I
Anytime,
have to say,
any level of intellect comes with a lesson. Like you had to learn any level of intellect. It didn't just come naturally. You had to learn it,
can
right?
I say something real quick? I really don't like to brag about things, but first you have to know what emotional intelligence is.
Mm-hmm.
First,
Facts.
Okay.
it's in Spanish. That's my name. It's a certification that says
Okay.
emotional intelligence. It's a certification, okay? So I'm going to speak something that's the fact. You can look it up if you want to. So emotional intelligence doesn't mean that you don't feel anything. You
Absolutely.
feel, but you have to learn how to manage each emotion. For instance, if I ask you right now, name certain emotions, everybody's going to say happy and sad. Those are the only ones that we know. Most of the time, that's what we say. I'm not saying that's the only one, but most of the time, people, they are angry and they say, I am whatever. They mention another emotion. They are disappointed and they say, I am mad. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to know our emotions and know how to categorize them in the way so we can actually manage their emotions. So being emotional intelligent doesn't mean that you are not feeling anything, but it's how do you react. It's
So
the ability to control the reaction. So I can be mad, I can be
Fact.
upset, but I am not going to overreact or react in a way that is going to affect me or others, because I don't need to react violently. Violence only brings violence back. So if I react in a certain way, I can actually control my actions. And that's the emotional intelligence. Doesn't mean that I'm not feeling upset or I don't want to cry or I'm not going to ever cry. That's not emotional intelligence. I can cry and I can say, you know what? I'm just emotional right now and I'm crying for this reason. And it's okay. It's okay to
Well,
accept your emotions.
Because
let
we
me
didn't
I
get
think
to
I
the
think that's what he's saying though. Wasn't that what he's saying?
yeah,
yeah.
That's
yeah.
exactly what Thinking Man was saying.
Mm-hmm.
That the reason why you should seek therapy is so that you can learn to navigate your emotions and
Mm-hmm.
become more emotionally aware. And do women really know
Well,
how to do
I
that?
guess that I misspected the therapy, but the question, the point I was making was it's something you learned. The first thing you said was you learn So that was my point. And yes, you do have to learn it.
Right, which is why he brought up therapy, though. You learn
Well,
that in
the
therapy.
So you're saying your kids should go to therapy to learn emotional intelligence?
No, we
Well,
can
I mean,
teach
to
them.
be
We
honest
can
with
teach
you,
them.
hold on.
We
To
can
be
teach.
honest with you, a lot of parents don't have emotional
That's what I was about
intelligence.
to say.
Right.
If
I
you
think
don't
Exactly.
have
I
it,
think that women.
So on a parental level, absolutely. Like if you're an adult and you don't know emotional intelligence, absolutely. But we're talking about when you're growing, let's just say you're 18, 19, you're just now getting in the dating scene. You may have some hiccups, right? Is
No,
that
you can
fair
go
to
to
say?
therapy at
Everybody
that
goes
age,
through a
though.
lesson to understand that something needs to be learned here. I didn't handle that quite well. My emotion, because you got to know what love feels like to know, like that love hits you hard. You like, what? I can sit here and preach how love is to a person, but until they feel it themselves, we don't know how they're going to react. You understand?
Exactly.
So you go through something to learn how to do something else. And that's all I was saying. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't necessarily disagree. I guess the question, because we kind of, I guess why for me the question would be when we talked about manipulation and how women are laying with men that are saying all the right things X, Y, or Z, right?
right.
But we never asked the question of why she felt compelled to lay with that man.
Right.
Why
it's a different issue.
why did you lay with that guy?
Well, that's
That
a different, like
you see what
mistaken
I'm
said,
saying?
that's a different issue.
But
But
that's
I'm gonna
not
say
being
this.
emotional. Like the emotion didn't. It's
But
not like. I'm sorry.
yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying like you're saying that a woman is going to regret later for laying or sleeping with a man. Is that what I'm understanding? Probably I'm not following up.
No, Shantae, the question you asked earlier in the show was about like manipulation and people deceiving each other and all of that kind of stuff,
Correct.
and having character and morals and all of that. So you said that in some of those situations, women can be taken advantage of.
Correct.
So right. So what I'm saying is, in order for her to be taken advantage of, she has to associate or give some type of value to what the guy is saying, and feels like the reciprocation of that value is having sex. So then it's okay. Well, why do you feel like because you like this guy, he likes you? Why is then the reciprocation of that sex? Why are you
You're right.
associating sex with that?
I absolutely agree. I don't know why they associate sex
Well,
with.
I think it's the conditioning. It's the conditioning that you see, like growing up. As it equates, like love equates to sex. That's what you're conditioned to believe. So
Facts.
it doesn't surprise me that women will sleep with a guy that they like, because it's all about conditioning. And then also too, with the emotional intelligence as well, is not even just being able to control your own emotions and express your emotions in a correct manner and being aware, but it's also about the interpersonal relationships as well. Like when you have learning to be empathetic, seeing things from both sides. I should be able to see that you're hurting and understand that, and comfort you in a way. So it's not just even being self-aware, but also being able to be interpersonal as well. But like what you were saying in terms of the feeling of love, that women do have a tendency, because we are emotional beings, that it doesn't surprise me that women do that. But when you condition to do it, and then on top of that you add the emotions, then you add on top of that the biological aspect of, women get horny too. You know what I'm saying? When you add all of those things together, it's not surprising. The thing is that just like we're telling guys to practice discipline, women need to practice that as well.
So how much of that do you think is insecurity though? Right. So you had a biological aspect of it, right? But then what percentage would you attribute to? I don't, well, the other girls are doing it, or I want him to like me. He likes me, and if I don't do this, he won't like. How much of that is insecurity versus some biological?
85%.
I think that goes back to foundation, though. Like having a father, and I spoke on this yesterday, having a father that instills that emotional support in you, that confidence, that love, that is so important when it's coming from that initial person who is supposed to be your first love, right? We talk about the Oedipus complex. that's your first love. And if your first love is not showing you those attributes of what love is supposed to be and giving you that guidance, then you're going to try to navigate that in different ways. So I will go with Shantae. 85% comes from insecurity, because it's the women who are not insecure that's going to be like, okay, I don't have to sleep with you in order for you to like me. I shouldn't have to do that. It should be more than that. This should just enhance our relationship versus
no dude should be able to tell you something about you that you don't already know. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what happens when the dads are not there, and being able to build those relationships with their daughters and instill in their daughters that they're beautiful, they're smart, you know what I'm saying? All of those things. This is the way a man who respects you would treat you. When they are pouring into their, and I'm specifically saying female child, because females deal more with the insecurities. Not to say that men don't have it, but it hits girls a lot harder, especially when they're going through puberty. But when you do have the dad there from an early age, instilling all of these things about how wonderful you are, and you know, how should I say valuable you are. So when now they're navigating the world, not to say that they won't come into contact with any knuckleheads, but I do think it reduces the number of times that they will deal with a knucklehead, only because they're not looking for that dude to validate them. They've already been validated.
Facts.
So that's where I think the men, like why it is so important for men to be in the home. It's
I
so
wanted to
important.
651, do you have anything to comment on? I know you've been on for a while. Do you have anything? I mean, we didn't give you an opportunity to chime in. It's been some time. So do you have something to say?
No, I'm cool. You guys, well, you guys made a lot of points that I was going to say. My only problem is, what's the solution? I think we need to bring back black families, and I think right now it's this platform of single moms and city girls. We need to get back to family and raising these kids, because right now social media is raising these kids, and that's why it's so chaotic right now, all over the place. So I listen to a lot of platforms, podcasts, and everybody's saying the same thing, but I don't see any changes. But a lot of people, a lot of black people of color, I'm just talking about people of color. A lot of people of color, we all talking about the same thing on all the platforms. We all talking about, yeah, we need to do this, we got to do this. Bring the men, need to be in the family.
Wait,
City
I'm
girls.
sorry. I get some reverb.
It might be me. I'm gonna finish it up.
Okay.
But what is the solution? Because I hear the talk, but I don't see no action. And I would like to see before I die that
What would you recommend? Since you've been on multiple platforms and you
Well, I haven't been on. I just listened to it. I haven't been on multiple platforms. I just listened to a
I'm
lot.
just saying, if you're listening to multiple platforms, what have you come up with as resolution? I mean, if you're listening to multiple platforms and you've been thinking about it. Also, if you're in the chat, you got to turn off the live chat. You need to turn off the
If you're
live
talking on the
YouTube.
cell phone, it'll echo.
Yeah, I'm talking to my cell phone.
Oh.
Yeah, so
yeah, but
can you close the other chat, because you could see it. It's causing feedback.
But I think one of the solutions is going to be.
Muted. That's one.
I would be curious. I mean, with him learning or being part of and listening to multiple.
Well, I know what the. Go ahead, Saeed, and I'll tell you.
No, because I want to give him an opportunity to talk. Thank you, man. Sorry.
I got you.
So
no, that's cool. That's cool.
Because it looks like he's been waiting, but I'm interested. 651 for you to let us. Yeah, you let us know, like, let us know what your thoughts are about it, because you're right. We love to talk about solutions on this platform, and we love to discuss issues. We were just talking about one earlier when it comes to ratchet behavior and how, you know, it's infiltrated as the main, what's being seen mainly across Black women. So what would you think would be resolutions to some of the
It,
issues that we're seeing?
it's not just Black women and also Black men. And the people that know better, we got to do better. We got to stop like saying that, like as for a man, like for me, like when I hear people talk like these young kids talk about smashing chicks, I check them. I check them. I like, yo, that's not cool. Like it's it's up to us that knows better. We got to teach the young, even if it's a 3 minute conversation, 2 minute conversation. We have to start spreading it. Like we got to start spreading this top. We got to stop. We got to start spreading this positive about women, men, and what not to do and what to do. Because apparently the parents not in the house, so we got to step up. Even even if we not even if we not we don't know the individual, we got to step up. We got to stop praising these guys, that the rappers, the twerking. We got to stop praising that, you know. And it's up to us that knows better. We got to. It's up to us because right now we losing. Like we're losing right now. Calling Russell Wilson, calling him a lame. Think about that. That's what's going on. So they calling him a lame. Like because he's a family man. That's the type of bullshit that I'm like, yo, why? What's the reason? And anytime I hear somebody say that, I'm like, why you calling him that? What's the reason? And that's the type of stuff we got to check as the men, as the women that know better. We got to check stuff like that. Like it shouldn't be abnormal for a man that's taking care of his responsibility, or a woman that don't want to twerk, that want to be a housewife. That shouldn't be looked negative upon in our community. That she shouldn't be called, oh, she's stupid, or he shouldn't be called lame for doing positive, doing stuff like that. So it's up to us because right now we losing. I think somebody on the podcast said it just now that right now the twerking and city boy, that shit winning right now in our community, and that's what's winning. Like you actually have to. That's what you have to be to actually get successful now, to get the lights, to get all that. So it's up to us to spread the news. Because right now, I don't. It's looking bad. So that's my solution. And
If
social, go through
if you talk
social
about
media.
validation and all of that kind of stuff, that's insecurity as well. If you're doing stuff for likes and all this kind of stuff, it's another form of insecurity.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but it's working. Like people are seeing that you can make money doing this, and we're promoting it. And that's where the problem comes in at. I have students who actually say they want to be TikTok, influencers for a
Influencers.
living. And I'm not saying I'm not going to knock your hustle, but what's the plan if that doesn't work out? You know what I'm saying? And most of the things that work on TikTok are things that are negative in the community. Let's just be honest.
And speaking of likes, let's get those likes up.
Yeah, I think one of the solutions that I think our generation and maybe the generation that preceded us is therapy. I think we got to normalize it. It's a lot of stuff. So when you start talking about emotional intelligence, you start talking about pathology, codependency, insecurities, projection, all of these different types of things that we don't know the definition of, that we it's about ourselves. Like, and it's a lot of times our parents don't have those tools either. So you have, like what you were saying, mistaken, Saida, you said, like your father as an example to kind of teach you how to conduct yourself. As a man, you have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence to be able to pour into a little girl. You know what I mean? To be soft hearted, like what you were talking about, mistaken. Like there's a certain level of work you have to do as a man to be able to tap into that, because we've been socialized not to do that.
Yeah.
We've been socialized to be this tough, hard, I'm not gonna fold type of dude, which is cool because we got to get stuff done. We can't just be crying all the time to get things done. But then how do we communicate with our women? You know what I mean? How do we pour into our women? That's the thing, and it creates the insecurities and stuff like that. So they go out and they look for what they're lacking in the home, and then they find it, and then this dude that means them no good, like what Shantae was talking about as far as manipulation and all of that kind of stuff. Because we as men, we know when we move around women, like we can catch a vibe for like we know, what you need, where you're lacking at, what you're looking for, and all of those type of things. We know that, and it's a certain type of man. If you're intelligent, and you have character, it's a certain type of man that's going to take advantage of that situation, and it's a certain type of man that's going to pour into you and not take advantage of that situation. You see what I'm saying? But we all know, like, how many more men are there that are going to do the opposite? And the same thing for women as well, to take advantage of men. How many women are, when they see that dude with money, let's say he a little green because he lived his life a certain way, that are going to take advantage of that guy because of a lack of information.
Well, I know one thing that can really help and come up with some solutions is more married people encourage people who are not married, and let them know the benefits of marriage. Because you have a whole lot of people who's not married speaking badly on marriage, but yet we don't have a lot of people who are married speaking the positivity and encouraging people who is maybe on the borderline, you know what I'm saying, who's on the fence of, think about getting married, but afraid to, because they hear all these negative things. So we need more of these married couples to put themselves out there, really. And are they gonna have to take some bullets? Hell yeah, they're gonna have to. But that's part of the process. You know what I'm saying? You got to come out from your comfort zone and do things like that. That's one thing for sure. If we could do that, you talk about a big difference in our community. Big
Yeah,
difference.
I
And
agree with that. I want.
another thing is, I always encourage, usually when I sign off, I always tell black men, protect yourself at all times. But part of me saying that is not only just protect yourself from women, you also need to protect yourself by, getting your blood work. You know what I'm saying? Go get your prostate and your your colonoscopies. You need to do those things, man. Heart disease is one of the biggest things, and diabetes is one of the biggest things killing black men. So those things you need to check on. So always get your blood work. It doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, you still need to do that. So those are things that could definitely help our community, and especially help black men to live longer, to be around, to be successful, and then do what they can to be leaders in the community.
And
So
stats show that women do that. That's one of the benefits of being married and being in a relationship, is that as a man, you live longer, because typically women are the ones that are like, you need to go to the doctor, because a lot of times men are, nah, brush that off, I'm good, finger hanging off. And they're like, nah, it'll be fine. Just give me a Band-Aid and I'll wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? Women are going to be the ones to want to make sure that you are around for a long time. So they're going to be like, no, I set up your yearly exam, blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the benefits of being married for a man, is that you do live longer.
I also wanted to mention that one of the solutions could be possibly is that we need to stop just seeing the negative on everything, because what I noticed in some of the things, something I really hate is that just because you had a father in your life doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes. I have a father. I still have my father. I love my father. He's everything to me, and I have made mistakes. I recognize as a grown person that he gave me the advice and I didn't listen to him. That was my mistake. That's me taking the accountability for my own actions, because we're like, oh, I didn't have a father and that's why I make mistakes. But I had a father and I still made mistakes. So what's the difference is that you're just going to make less mistakes. I have a daughter. In 9 years, I wanted to have another kid. Like, I want to be a mother so bad, but I knew that I'm not going to repeat the same story over and over again. Like, you learned the lesson one time, you made a mistake, cool, but you're going to go and do it again. That's the problem. That sometimes it's like, we're like, oh, if they have a father, you judge them. But if they don't have a father, you still judge them. It's like, it's not about that. We're still going to make mistakes. everybody makes mistakes. It's about taking accountability and stop pointing at fingers that, oh, I am like this because the culture. I'm like this because these people behave like this and they make me like this. No, I am conscious and self-aware that I can make decisions on my own because I am a grown person. My dad didn't give me the certificate for the emotional intelligence. He is emotional intelligence? I don't think so. Sometimes he's not. I went ahead and wanted to. It's not a degree, it's something that you can look for. If you're conscious, if you're self-aware, you say, you know what, I want to work on this. You know what, I don't want to wear eyelashes because everybody's wearing them. So I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna look, how am I supposed to dress? I don't need someone to tell me those things, but it requires consciousness for you to act and the right way.
I agree with whoever made the comment about I think we focus on the negativity or something like that. Because I look at, I watched the lead attorney, and one of the things that points out to me is he can tell you all the things that can go wrong, just to inform you on how a marriage can go wrong. And people are like, oh, I don't want to be married. I don't want to be married. But he will be quick to say, but I'll get married. But they don't hear that part. Like, this is a man who knows everything about marriage because he's in divorce court, But at the end of the day, he's even stated, and they're like, would you ever get married? And he's like, yes, I would get married. But they don't hear that part. They just hear about all these things that could go wrong, in opposed to the fact that in his mind, even though he knows the law, he would still take the risk and be married. Nobody focuses on that part, So I agree that we do, listen to the negative. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers who are married. They'll point out all the negative, but you still with your wife. You're at home happy. You turn off the internet and you go to your wife.
But it's their responsibility to, like you just said about a lead attorney. Lead attorney, he's talking all the negative stuff about marriage. He should be also having he should also have a section where he actually talking about all the positive stuff about marriage. See that, and that's what I was talking about. That is the people that know better. We got to do better. So he need to have a whole section about the positivity, the benefits of being married. We all know about marriages, how the man can lose it all, the women can lose it all, child support, all that other bullshit. We all know that in our community. We all were brought up in that bullshit. But for every bad marriage, we need to hear the positive marriages about people being married 30 years. That when the woman was a housewife, the husband died, she got the Social Security, she got the benefits, she got all that. That's the shit that's the stuff we need to hear about. I don't know how many videos that you can turn on right now on YouTube and on TikTok and all that about the negativity of marriage. Everybody talking about the negativity of marriage, about how the man can lose and stuff like that. We need to start talking about the positive stuff about marriage, not about the $50, $60, $80,000 wedding, but the positive stuff about wedding,
right?
About marriage.
And I agree. And we need to focus on the fact that, hey, if you have a mother and a father in a home, you have a better chance at having a sound child. Like, why is your child not the main priority? You're so focused on a couple of dollars because, the averages, and it's not like everybody's balling out here. You're not even thinking like, hey, my kid will at least have the father in a home. We're going to do the best we can to raise. I'm going to have a relationship with my child. My child is going to know that I did the right thing by marrying a mom or being married and having a kid, the right thing. And then you go from that point. Now, things happen, we need to talk about that too, why divorces happen, because that's an issue as well. I'm going to point it out. Women lead, and we need to figure out why. But we need to at least try to go in right. So our kids can know this is how you're supposed to, handle yourself. You're supposed to find a husband, then have a child, do it the right way. And that's what we really need to be preaching, not that, I don't want to be married. Y'all ain't saying you saying you don't want to be married, but you're not saying I don't want to have no kids. You're not saying I don't want to have sex. That comes with marriage.
What something I have when you talk about marriage is that, yes, marriage is the right thing to do, but also it's not the only thing to do. It's not just getting to the marriage, it's sustaining the marriage, keeping
Absolutely.
the marriage. Because when someone is married and then they get divorced, you're judging them. They got married, right? They were married. That was the purpose. Now you're judging them for what? For making mistakes. We all make mistakes. Now,
Right.
marriage doesn't guarantee that you're going to succeed in life. Marriage doesn't guarantee that you're going to be complete in life. Marriage doesn't guarantee that it doesn't guarantee anything at all, except benefits, because it's just a contract. That's the way that I see it. To
But
me, it is,
we already
hold on. It is a contract, but to me, it has a significant moral value. Like, it's the representation. It's not just the paper. Don't get me wrong. It's not just the paper. It's not just a contract, because the value that you're going to give to that paper, just like a dollar, you have a dollar. Does that dollar worth something or nothing to you? You give the value to that. Now, what I'm saying is that yes, marriage is the right thing, but it's not just about getting a ring and getting married. No, it's about keeping a marriage. That's the hardest part, because that's where it's not where everything ends, it's where it starts. And people are just focusing on, like, I want a ring, I want to get married, you should get married, you should get married. I don't think it's hard to say, do you want to get married with me? Or like, I want to get married, to tell a man. I don't think that's hard. The hard part is like the behind it, the truth behind it, the representation of marriage, what it means to you. Are you going to be capable of maintaining a marriage? Not just the woman, but it's two people involved. The man has a lot of responsibility on that relationship, on that marriage too.
Well, one thing is, don't make divorce an option.
Well, we're going to have a whole discussion on divorce. That's why I said
Don't make it an option.
the topic.
And once you don't make it an option, it makes it a lot more less red tape you have to deal with. You understand what I'm saying? So that means you're willing to work out whatever issues we have. We're going to figure this out somehow, some way. But one thing is not an option, is the divorce. So just don't make that an option and go from there.
And that's part of the boundaries. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think I came to the realization, actually, me and Sharon was talking about that earlier this week, is that I came to the realization that the reason why many people at this day and age, they don't want to get married, is because marriage equates to responsibility. I mean, that's all marriage is that you have to be responsible for the kids, you have to be responsible for each other, you have to be responsible. And I think what happens is sometimes the level of responsibility that comes along with marriage, it makes people rather not do it because they prefer to be irresponsible, in terms of, I don't really want to be responsible for anybody but myself. And so that's why you end up in situations where you'll have cohabitating relationships, because it's like, I'm getting some of the benefits of marriage, but not necessarily the responsibility of marriage. You know what I'm saying? And so, and that just dawned on me, because I'm like, it is such a level of responsibility when you get married. Is it hard? Absolutely. It's always easier to look out for yourself than have to be responsible and look out for other people. But the work that you put in, it when you think about having to go through life by yourself versus going through life with someone who can help lighten that load, is so much easier. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the part that we don't hear about, being married and sharing the responsibilities of marriage. Is a lot, but if both of y'all have that mindset, like what you were saying, Hank, is having an out is not an option. If both of y'all have that as your foundation, and that part in your vows, when you say for better or for worse, you're going to be tested on that when you're married with somebody. You know what I'm saying? And when you are tested in that, and then you go through it, like, you look back and be like, man, we did that. So now you feel like the fact that you were able to go through something together, that, yeah, okay, we got another 10 years, we got another 10 years. Like, it's just that matter of knowing that no matter what happens, we're in this together. And there's a level of security that come along with that. Like, I would say my husband would never leave me. People be like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen, you can't say that. But I would say that. And the reason I say that is because the amount of time we've been married 19 years, but known each other, like been together like 26 years. So he's been consistent in making me feel as though I have nothing to worry about. I'm not going anywhere, and vice versa. So when I say my husband will never leave me, I mean that. And the same thing, I will never leave him. Now, at the end of the day, could something happen? Absolutely. But I'm not looking at that. I can only go by what he has shown me. And right now, he's shown I'm never going to leave you. Vice versa. I'm never going to leave you. Because when we got married, the focus wasn't on, well, if I don't like this, divorce is an out. It's just not an out. Like when they say, until death do us part, one of us gonna have to die. Hopefully it's naturally. No, I'm just joking. But like that's just not an option. We're in it for life, for real, for real. And I think it's that part that people need to hear, because it's nothing like being like this. Like I know my husband has my back. Like he's seen me at my worst. Like when this whole COVID situation happened, like I thought, I've never died, didn't think I was close to death. But for me, that feeling of being that sick with COVID, thinking that I was close to death, and seeing how even him having COVID, like I caught it from him trying to take care of him. Then we both got sick. And seeing him at his worst and me at my worst, that he put himself to the side to make sure I was okay. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that just brought me my love for him to a whole nother level after 26 years of being with him, because he was ready. Like, I can't lose my wife, and he's ready to lay his life on the line to make sure I'm all right. That right there was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And those are the good things about marriage. When you have somebody that has your back like that, is nothing else. Nothing else like it.
That's good. I like it because you presented a positive, environment. It's like this video that went viral, and they presented in another panel of the lady saying that she was going to the hospital and she was like 40 or over 40, and she had no one, no man to take care of her. That must be really like, hurtful for this person. Like she was really emotional on camera, like everybody's going to see this video. So if people don't think about those things, that yeah, at the end of the day, we are all going to die alone. Come on, nobody's going to be there at that moment. How many times does that happen for someone to exactly be there, like taking you, hand in hand when you're going to die? That doesn't happen. But it's like having a companionship all the way until like we grow together. That's what it's about. Because at the end of the day, even when men say, no, we don't need women, whatever, I have friends over 40 that say, I want to be a woman. I feel alone. They don't want to feel that way. Yeah. So it's like they start feeling that way. Yeah.
We're built to be companions. You know what I'm saying?
Complement each other.
We're built to be companions. We are supposed to complement each other. So I think it's what you call it, like what do you call that? A response to like, I can't think of the word. A mechanism, like a protective mechanism to say like, I don't need nobody. I got it. You do.
They really don't know. Like it's something that people say, oh, I want a family. How I notice those things, for example, like those are things that I notice in a man. That you say you want a family. Do you talk to your mom? What's your relationship with your family? Do you talk to your brothers and sisters? Like those are the things that I notice, because in my family, we're very attached. Like we still visit my grandma every Sunday religiously. Every Sunday we have to be there. So, and it's like the entire family over there. So it's important. Family is important to us. So how can you say that you want a family? You don't even spend time with your own siblings, with your mother, with your father. You don't visit them. Oh, it's been like a month and a half that I haven't visited my parents. No, that doesn't, in my head, it doesn't go.
I agree with that. And it's so funny because I hear often that people talk about the, failed marriages and the percentage, but we preach entrepreneurship, and most businesses fail. But nobody stops you from wanting to be. It doesn't stop people from wanting to try it. You lose
Good
money.
point.
You have a higher chance of losing out on and being an entrepreneur than you do in divorce. But you're willing to try that, but you're not willing to try, being married. It doesn't make sense. They're both risk. Yes. But the great thing about being married is if you do have a family, your kids are coming from a two-parent household. There's nothing that can be, even if you have a divorce, they still started out in a two-parent household. Your child is not a statistic. Your child's mother is not a baby mama. You're not a baby daddy. You were once married and something happened, or you're still married. Those are the only two things that could happen in that situation. And it is still better for the child. So I'm not understanding this whole rationale where one is okay and the other is not. I don't get that at all.
And I grew up in a single parent household, and for the longest, I was one of them people like, oh, the hell with marriage, man. Get married, get married, get married. That's lame. I grew up in a single parent household. My grandmother was single. My mom grew up. My grandma wasn't married. My mom wasn't married. So I always looked at marriage as just just a piece of paper. It took me damn near like 28, 29 as the age when I was 28, 29, I realized like I changed my whole perspective of it. I'm like, yo, why not get married? And I started meeting people that's been married for 30, 40. My mentor, he's been married like for 35 years. And I started meeting more and more people that's been married for over 20 plus years. I'm like, that's where I want to be. But them type of people is not broadcasting marriage like how the people that don't want to get married or think negative in the marriage way. Their broadcasting platform is on a whole nother level. And if I grew up in a single parent household, likelihood I probably would have been married by now. For the longest I had a negative impact on marriage. And I lost a lot of good people because of that. And she made a good point. When you see your parents married, if you grow up and you see your parents married, that's you're not a statistic, and it's a positive outlook on the whole situation of it. So that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like a bragging right. Oh no, my parents were married. It is I don't understand. Anybody else wanted to add to that?
It was something that 651 said when he was like, you don't hear a lot of you know people
Oh
speaking
yeah.
of marriage, but what he did is he ended up putting himself in a space where he was around married people so he can
See it.
see it. And and that's good. But the other thing, and I remember Trill had told me this in so many words. I know I'm not saying it the same way, but it made me think about it, that he said something along the lines like, you're not going to hear people who are happy or in their relationship, you're not going to hear them speaking all of this, the negativity, because they're good. What are they talking about? I can't even relate to that conversation, is what he was saying. But for me, what I heard, like what popped into my head in terms of marriage is like, is the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So if your marriage is already oiled, you're not going to hear a whole bunch of, negativity about marriage. And I think that's what it is that you don't hear a lot about it. You only hear the negative part when they're already too far gone and they're about to get a divorce. But all of the other stuff that happened that led them up to wanting to be married and staying in a marriage for as long as they did when it was good, you don't hear about it.
But what's so funny and mistaken, and I brought this up last week. Every man, including our mutual friend, who has gotten done bad in divorce court, they always say they'll marry again.
That's true.
There's something going on in that marriage to the point where, hey, I know I've been done wrong in divorce court. I'll know better. I'll move a little different next time. Maybe I have a prenup. But never have they said, oh, I'm not doing that again. They all collectively said, I want to get married again. And I know
Well,
I've asked a lot of them.
well, I know I was one of those people when I first got divorced from my ex, and I was in the mind state of not doing it again. But it took me to going through therapy to change my mindset and to be open to do it again. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't an easy transition because of the mental and emotional and the financial things that I had to go through during the situation. But it is a challenge, and I understand when I hear guys who's been through it and it ended up not working out, of course, and them saying, man, I couldn't do it again. I can relate, I can understand, but at the same time, you also got to look at the bigger picture. Are you saying it because of how it went, and you feel like the next one's going to do the same thing to you? And you shouldn't, like you said, I thought I said, don't drag that luggage to the next relationship. So
absolutely.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind answering, Heath. So in a marriage, when you get a divorce, I truly believe that is always both people. You know what I'm saying? Everybody have something, because you can't be married to yourself, is what I'm saying. So through therapy, and now that you're like, I'm open to getting married again, what have you learned from the first marriage to make sure that you, I guess, avoid some of the pitfalls that you had in your first marriage now? Like, what have you learned in terms of moving differently the next time?
Well, hold fast to what my expectations are, and to what I'm looking for, and to hold her or the individual more accountable for it. And if it, and if it does, be willing to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying, and talk about it. Another thing is to be willing to get therapy, couples therapy, if that's what I'm speaking on, and to do a better job at keeping outsiders out of the relationship. I didn't do a good job at that, and I should have did a better job at that. And I think it really hurt us because we was allowed individuals to get in our circle and influence the relationship. So
do you think, I'm glad you said that, do you think that that's the reason why many married people don't get on YouTube and discuss there, because it's a toxic atmosphere, and so maybe their spouse is like, oh, no.
My husband was, I'm not gonna even lie, he was very reluctant in terms of letting me, participate in this opportunity. And he gave me some parameters around it, as well. So definitely, because his thing is, he's a very private person. So his thing is, I don't want none of our business in the street. Like, no. So that was his reluctance. But I'm glad that he's like, but I know that this is something that you really want to do. So I'm gonna trust that you move with that and hold yourself accordingly. You know what I'm saying? So he has. But yeah, I definitely think that married, unless they're doing it together, definitely.
You know what?
but the
Something
thing
that I
about
have
it,
noticed.
the thing about it, I know, and I understand why your husband said that and feels that way, but at the same time, we need him. We really do. We really need, especially more men, because it's more so the men who say like a man who was in my position, who had that mindset. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to walk down that road again. It was hurtful, emotionally hurtful. Financially, it set me back. Uh, it was a problem because now my son is only there 50% of the time compared to 100% of the time, and and that worries on you, especially if depending on your relationship with your child. And me and him has a great relationship. It's all of a sudden I don't wake him up in the morning to get ready for school, or I'm going to pick him up for after school. You know what I'm saying? I'm only doing that 3 or 4 days a week compared to 5 days a week. That's rough. That was rough for me. It really was, and it really hurt. So I think more men really need to be, especially the lead in on the situation, talk about how great marriage is, how encouraging it can be. Are there going to be challenges in marriage? Yes, they are. But as men, you got to know how to move and maneuver and deal with and handle certain things, like especially, with temptations. Those are things that, men really need to be discussing on these streets, these YouTube streets, because it can really help a lot of guys. You know what I'm saying? Because is there going to be temptations? Yes. There's a lot of beautiful women in the world. And it seems like the ones who are married get the more thrown at them opportunities, tempted more. That's what it seemed like to me. I mean, when I was married, it's like, God damn. I mean, they don't see the ring. They don't see that. They just don't respect it. And they like, fuck it. They don't care. They hit me up, handing my numbers and all. I'm like, damn, y'all, damn. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I gotta be strong. I'm trying to turn away, look the other way. I can't go these places no more because the options and the temptations are just way too much. So, you really need men to speak on those things like that. How do they handle it? How do they maneuver? How do they, when those situations come up, what did you do in these examples, situations? So.
I like the fact that you're expressing this to other men as well, because a lot of men need to hear just as much as women need to hear from our side that we are the responsible ones to assist and attend or serve our men, and remove that word of submission. Is not a slavery. It's not. It's actually, the way I see it, is like having a satisfaction to kind of like serve that person. I personally love when my siblings, and I'm talking about my brothers, they come to me and they compliment my cooking. I love it. It just gives, it's a personal satisfaction. My dad comes home to have lunch every day from Monday through Friday. Sometimes Monday he doesn't, he's really busy. But like most of the time he comes home to have lunch here at the house. And I text him, hey, there's food in the house in case I'm not there, but I left the food ready for him. And it's just a personal satisfaction. He's not my man. But if my dad is still getting this treatment, better make sure my man is gonna get the same or better. So it is just a personal thing. And nobody's gonna give you that. It's not gonna grow, from nowhere. Oh, once I have the ring, then it's gonna grow. No, it's not like that. It doesn't happen like that. It's something that has to come from within.
Well, let me ask you ladies this. Why does it feel like a lot of ladies, once they are just not, why does ladies not want to compete to get a man?
Oh, I don't know a lady who doesn't want to compete. Like, what do you mean by that?
Oh yeah, you got some ladies that just feel like they shouldn't have to compete or fight or do what they, and even to the point for the women who are married feel like, oh, once I got him, I don't have to compete for him. I don't have to fight for him.
Okay.
You don't.
And to me, it should be just the opposite, because the temptations are out here for these men, and you need to do what you need to do to keep that man looking at you, wanting you, loving you.
Well, I think
sorry.
So I think that would go both ways. I mean, obviously, I would hope that you're in a situation where your love is not conditional. You know what I'm saying? Because at some point, you're both going to grow old. I hope you do know that. And there are things that are going to happen. Life happens. We're all human. So I would hope it's a true love type of situation. But as far as the competitive nature, now, I do know women are more competitive in the beginning before they have the ring. Absolutely. And then maybe I've heard stories about after they're married, they kind of slack. But I also have spoken to people where it's because the role, like their role in the household has changed. For example, they may have children. They're exhausted. They worked all day. Kids weren't in the mix before when you were in the dating phase. So you had more time to attend to your husband, because kids can be exhausted. And so especially if you parent right. So they're different situations, and it's not saying that it is an excuse or it should be that way, but those are the things. Now, if you're in a relationship and she's married to you and the competition is stopping, there are no kids involved, she's just the wrong one.
Well,
But the
what
thing
I'm
about it, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Taker.
I was gonna say, in terms of like when you said getting married, then why they feel like they don't have to compete. If I'm married, I'm not competing with other women. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't have to be competing with other women. Now, there's a difference between that and doing the things to continue to make my marriage work. Like I still need to have my do the things. I should never feel like I got to do the things that I'm doing in order to keep my husband from another woman. I need to move in a mindset that I need to do the things that I need to do because it is now my responsibility as a wife. It is my, because I do love and care about him. So that's the way that I need to be moving in my marriage. It should never be because I feel like I got to do these things because I'm competing with other women, and vice versa. He shouldn't feel like, oh, I better do this because she might leave me for another man. No, that's not the way that you think. That you shouldn't even have that mindset as a marriage. Like, he chose you. There wasn't any competition after the once he chose you. The other thing, I chose him. There is no there's no other man that can stand to my husband. I chose him for a reason. So I should never have the mindset that I feel like if I don't do these things, he's going to, I might lose him to another woman. No, we should do these things because we entered into an agreement to love, cherish, and respect each other. So that's how we need to move.
Yeah, but you don't think
So
it's still competing when you're doing those certain things to make sure you keep his attention?
no. Can I say that's exactly what I wanted to address? I
Say
think
that
just
again.
as no, he said like he isn't that competing, he said. And I think that's the problem with the words that we use. That
Mhm.
same thing that women have with the submission, the competition is not the right word. In my
Mhm.
head, I don't see it as competition. I understand what you're saying. I
Mhm.
understand your point and how you see it, and it's valid. But in my head, I don't see it as competition because at the end of the day, that contract that you sign, and I keep calling it contract because at the end, it reminds you that that's what it is. If you break it, it's till death do us apart, right? That's what it is. And it says right there. So you shouldn't be competing because at the end, you chose that woman. You
Mhm.
asked her to marry you. You gave her the ring. Now her job is to maintain and improve herself.
Mhm.
Her competition is only herself. Me, in my case, I don't compete. I don't want to be or look like any other person. He liked me. I can only improve myself to a better version. I can become better and better so he can continue to like the things and better. That's the way I see it. It's not a
But even if you
competition with other people. It's more like a competition with yourself to
but even if
maintain
you're
the good
doing that, you're
quality.
competing though. Even
It's,
if you're
it's
competing with yourself, you're competing.
I am calling it a competition because you're using that word. I call it improvement. I am improving
You
myself
call it what
to
you
a
want to.
better. No,
At
no,
the
no.
end of
I
the
get it.
day, you got to do what you need to do to make sure you keep that man looking at you,
Hmm.
lusting for you, wanting to come home to you,
Hmm.
desire you, and all of those things. You
It's
have to do
maintenance.
those things.
But
It's
that's what I was
maintenance.
talking
It's
about in
maintenance.
terms
I
of
mean,
Someone said it in
a
the
man
room.
has a
yeah.
man has to do those things. I still got to make sure I provide for you. I've still got to make sure I'm out here and I'm protecting you. I can't slack off because soon as I do, that's going to be a
Keep
problem.
that
But
body.
what he's talking about is responsibility, not competition. That, remember I was saying that
Okay?
responsibility in marriage, like when you get married, there's a responsibility. What you're referring to as the husband, you're referring to your responsibility. What you're referring to as what the woman needs to do, you're referring to responsibility, not competition. There's no competition at this point. We've already chose. We're out the game.
You
We have
won.
to be in a game
Exactly.
to compete.
Exactly. That
We have to
exactly.
be
If
in
you
a
look at
game
it,
to
if you
But
compete.
if this was a game,
It,
that's
it's still
exactly how you look at it. Like, you guys won the trophies. Like, you are out of the competition, so now your job is to preserve and keep and maintain that trophy in a good, and put it in a glass or whatever. Like, you have to keep it away from everything that may break in or someone can steal it. So that's your job.
it's
So that's
still
why.
it's still up to each individual responsibility to maintain themselves, physically, emotionally, and wifey or husband duties. I realize that when I'm in a relationship, I have more motivation to work out more, be more mentally, listen more, because my job is to make sure I'm the best man as possible to keep this woman, and it should be the same for the woman and man. Hey, just because you get married, that doesn't mean you relax. Both parties need to keep up they mentally, physically, and stability to make sure both parties. Like, I like to look at, like, when I see couples, like, both parties look good mentally, physically, and emotionally. Like, yo, that's dope. That's a dope couple right there, and that's what you want at both. And that's part of marriage. You got to both parties got to keep up competition, like he said. You got both of them competition. You should want women looking at you, and the man should want women looking at you, and the woman should want men looking at them. Like, yo, that's dope. They look good. And both of them should be doing that. Not just the woman, but the man too. That's how I feel. Like he said.
But you
Absolutely.
see, and I think it, like you said, it might just be a male thing. But y'all feel like y'all are getting upset or feel some type of way because I'm saying competition.
It is the wording. It matters. The
It's
wording matters.
competition.
You can
It's
call it
competition.
competition, whatever you want
It's
to call it. We just
competition.
want you to know that it's on both sides.
No, I'm
When I'm
no.
when I when I'm in a,
What I
when
tell
I'm
you,
in a, when
you
I'm
got
in
to
a
compete for
relationship.
yourself just like I would have to compete for you, right?
Yeah. When I'm in a relationship, I
So
got to
I'm
make
just
sure
saying,
my game
I
on tight.
understand it's both ways. It's not. I'm not saying it's just one way. You know, you compete for me. I ain't got to do nothing. Just sit back and be fat and happy. No, I know I got to put my work in. I know what I got to do. What I got to do. I understand that, but I'm just saying. It seems like ladies have an issue with that, though.
So my issue is because if we're using words that are used for other, or terminology that is used for something else, we have to refer and use it as reference, just like mistaken use the games. Now we are competing with not with single people. We're competing with marriages, with other married people, that to preserve our marriages. That's our competition. Oh, they're being married for 10 years, we're gonna make it 15. That should be our competition now. And because we're not separated no more, we're one. So right now we are in the same team. Why are we competing with each other when we are in the same team? So if I look at it from that, like, logically, I'm just thinking logically right now. It says that I'm not competing with someone that is in my same team. I'm supposed to be competing with other couples and maintain my marriage the longest. That
Right.
should be our goal.
So I think the problem is,
The
the
term.
problem is, and mistaken. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Because the definition says the act or process of trying to get or win something.
Okay.
So when we look at competition from that definition, when you're married, you're no longer trying to get or win something. You've already won. So that was the mindset that I'm going from. I've already won my husband. He's already won me. Now it's about maintaining the relationship.
Maintaining. Yeah.
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 So just take the word. So you guys are saying the same thing. I think you're just using a word that doesn't fit what you're. I think you're also saying maintain as well. You want to maintain it, make sure you're still looking good for him. Maintain the fact everything that attracted her to you, you want her to maintain that. That's what
Hmm.
you're saying.
And that's the biggest. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
That's the biggest mistake that people make, like in relationships, not just in marriage. Like, once you are in the relationship, oh, you know what? I don't have to go to the gym no more. I don't have to take care of me. I don't have to wear makeup. I don't wear makeup. I'm not I don't have to wear makeup now that I'm married. But you know, the way that he met me, my hair is not gonna be just on a bun just because I'm married now. You know, I'm not gonna stop wearing my perfume just because, you know, I'm gonna keep the good qualities that he like. If he's telling me, oh, you smell good, and then all of a sudden I'm not gonna be wearing anything, I'm just gonna be like not even shower. Come on. That those are the things that, you know, instead of like stepping like backwards, you're gonna move forward. And that's what I'm saying, like improving yourself. Hey, you see that we have, or we're lacking in this communication, or on this whatever situation it is, let's work it out. Let's, you know, let's talk about it, work together, and then we both are winning. We both
You know,
are
it's
winning.
so
So
funny.
that's the thing.
You know, it's so funny to me. Like I hear all the superficial thing about it, about being married. But how about just, can we have do I like you as a person? Do you like me as a person? Do we have a good conversation? Can I sit down and just have a conversation with you and we ain't even talking? You know what I'm saying? Like, do we enjoy each other's company? Because the company is going to get you through your older years. It ain't how big your booty is, or if it's lifted, or your grandmama wasn't in shape, but she kept your granddaddy. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of
But
the
that's
day,
all maintaining.
are you
That's
a
all.
person I can grow old with, and I enjoy being with, genuinely enjoy being with?
You know, something that happens is that and I went through this situation. I wasn't even dating the guy. I was talking to him because he was not from my same area. He was not from my country. So we were just talking. But when we finally met, he tried to change me. He tried to say, don't, you know, like I was going to the gym and I had to stop going to the gym because he wanted me to spend more time with him. And I'm like, how are you going to take my good habits, you know, the healthy habits that I have? I had to go to bed late because he wanted me to spend time and watch TV with him. And then I have to wake up early in the morning to, you know, prepare my daughter. So things like that. And then I told him one day I had to, you know, make a decision. And I'm like, look, I think you like the idea of me, but you don't like me. You like the idea of marrying or having me, but in reality, you don't like me because you're constantly trying to change me, trying to change things that I already do that I really I'm satisfied with doing, like working out every morning. Like, you know, that's my time and I need it. I need to go to bed early because that's a healthy habit that I have since ever. I go to bed early. So you want to change those things, and I really don't feel comfortable. And he was not understanding that. So a lot of people fall for the potential or for the idea of the person, but in reality, you don't even like or enjoy the person.
Let me do the super chats, okay? Because I'm, before I forget.
Ennis Luby, 449. My grandpa used to say, the loudest person in the room is the smartest. Pick the bones out of that.
Mike!
Hey, Mike.
I was wondering what happened to Mike.
What's up, fam? It's been a while. Yes, I hope all is well, Mike. Congo English, self-love inside and out. Hink. Thank you, Congo. Ennis Luby. Damn, at 6:51 Mitt, you hit the nail on the head. The platforms and panels are full of single moms and city girls looking for answers. Families and accountability are like kryptonite. Fred Tesla, $10. Thank you. Ennis Luby, 449. Why, when a man tells a woman the real, you still lead with your feelings? Stop and listen. It's okay to just say yes. Listen to learn, ladies, and put your, stuff up.
You know what's so crazy about that?
You can say the word, you grown ass woman.
DK.
It's
DK up.
It's so funny that he mentions this, but I find it to be the opposite. For example, if you're telling me how to get a man to marry me, I would say that I'll need to listen to a man. But when it comes to maintaining a relationship, because most women are the ones filing for divorce, I think we need to figure out why these women are leaving these marriages. Because I know nobody wants to be alone. I know that for a fact. So it's something that's going on, and we're going to dig a little deep into that next episode.
I think men.
And we're
I
gonna get to the
think
nitty gritty.
I think when men get married from just listening to like a lot of guys that I know that been divorced, and a lot of times they tell me they get complacent. They get real complacent that you know, they stop doing like simple shit. So I listen to a lot of guys that been married for 30, 40 years, and guys that divorced. And they tell me, well, they honestly tell me they got complacent. I don't know how true it is. I've never been married. You know, I think Mr. What's his name on the panel? Yeah, he can explain, but from what I've been told from like maybe 6, 7 guys that have been divorced, they say they got complacent. They just got real complacent. So, it comes back to what Mr. He said. When you get married, he used competition. I like the word competition, but we're not going to use competition. You got to improve yourself while you're in the marriage. You should always want to be healthy, working out, but also mentally, conversation. You should be your wife or husband should be your best friend. You shouldn't have to go outside of that platform of your marriage platform to get, you know, advice and stuff like that. That's supposed to be your best friend, your wife or your husband. You should be able to talk to that person, you know, about anything and everything, and it should be like that. So, that's what I've been told, but I don't know how true it is. I've never been married, so you can make it talk about that.
I think there's a difference between, because I know a lot of people say don't you shouldn't, what goes on in your marriage you shouldn't share, you shouldn't talk to other people about your marriage. I think you have to have discernment in who you talk to, whether it's a counselor or somebody that's going to be neutral, because sometimes you can talk to each other, but if neither one of you have the answer, where are you going to get the answer? If the goal is to fix it, and if I don't know how to fix it and you don't know how to fix it, but we want it to work, then we are going to have to step outside of our marriage in order, to do that, if the goal is to win. So I don't want people to misunderstand that when you have a marriage, you should never talk about your marriage to anybody. It has to be discernment. And if that means you need to go to therapy to figure that answer out, then go to couples therapy. If you need to go to your pastor, and do something like that, then do that. But you sometimes when you're married, you don't know all of the answers. And if you need to go to somebody where their marriage looks like it's working, then go to them. I don't think you should be all willy-nilly sharing your business with everybody. I do agree with that. But it's okay, to look for help. And then what you were saying about getting complacent, that happens. I know that I'm guilty of that. The crazy thing is not that I'm only guilty. I remember at a time, pointing the finger, and our pastor, Shannon said, when you point the finger, there's 3 pointing back at you, right? Well, I was so focused on where the fact that my needs weren't being met, that I felt and neglected to look at the fact that I probably was not on my A game either. And then when we had the conversation about, listen, these things, I'm not liking or what have you, that in my mind, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, right? But then when I opened up the conversation and we had a conversation, it was just like, okay, well, these are areas that I need you to work on. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? So I'm walking around thinking that I'm doing my thing, but he had to let me know, these are some areas you need to work on too. And I mean, I can't get mad at that. If I want my marriage to work, then I'm gonna step up and do what I need to do, and vice versa. But it's easy to get complacent when you have, I mean, when you're happy, it's easy to just, you know, just, all right, let's chill, you know. So yeah.
But and I think
And
that's
that's the natural react. Oh, sorry about that. Shantae.
no. Go ahead. I was just gonna say I think that's the
Um,
power of communication, just being able to communicate with your mate. If there is something going on, you should feel comfortable. Say, hey, babe, you know, you're getting a little rough around the, you know what I'm saying? And as a mate, I should be like, well, dang, I am. Thank you for telling me. I want to get my fine back. You know what I'm saying? So it's just communication and respecting each other's opinion and moving forward and doing the best you can to maintain a healthy relationship. Listen to each other's concerns and actually do something about it. Take action.
And like you said, when you get complacent, people just tend to just be relaxed. That's just a natural reaction. When you're happy and chill, no worry. When you're stressed out, some people tend to lose weight or gain weight. But when you just naturally just relax, you just tend to chill. You know, at one point, I was dating somebody and she was like, "Yo, you getting kind of fat, boy." So I was like, "Oh shit!" I was chilling. I was being relaxed, and she was able to tell me that I had to get back on my game. But I'd rather hear that than 40, 50 pounds later, you know, I'm all sick and shit, and she looking at me crazy. So, you know, that's part of. It's not just physically; it's also mentally. You know, your wife or your husband is supposed to be your best friend. Y'all should be able to be. Y'all should be able to talk about anything, even if it's something that's going to be hurtful. You should be able to tell one another that, and it should be cool. Like it should be. Y'all supposed to be best friends. That's what the courting phase to marriage. That y'all get to know each other and y'all become friends and all that other good stuff. I mean, it sounds good, but that's how it should go. But it is. I'm just trying to be positive about marriage. I'm tired of hearing negative shit about marriage.
You know what's so crazy? Let me just, can I please just, because I love some research. Listen, well, first of all, it's not 50%. But I can tell you that as people are aging, as far as the new generations are coming in, you're seeing more and more of younger people who are waiting to have kids. But that's girls, that's men and women alike. So it's not just men who are decreasing on being single dads. It's also women who are decreasing on being single moms as well. And that 72% that y'all say black women, if you look at it correctly, because I Googled it and I tried to find everything on it, it says 72% of black kids are born into unwedlock. That means 5 kids from one household is a part of that 72%. It didn't say 72% of black women. It says 72% of black kids are born out of wedlock. Those are two different things. Okay? So make sure when you're reading data, you understand what it is saying. But the stats are showing that this new generation, these new 20-year-olds early, are waiting to have children. They are, both men and women alike. They are definitely progressing in that area, especially the more educated that they are. Just wanted to, correct that.
I'm on there with this. It's up to all the smart people on this panel that we got to think positive and talk about marriage in a positive way. We I think we can make a change. But it has to be positive and everybody has a. I don't know if anyone you guys have a podcast. I think I follow the Hink on YouTube, but we just have to be positive when it comes to marriage, and I think that will help because it's like 90% negative marriage and like 10% positive. And I just heard nothing but positive stories on this podcast just by listening to it in a couple of hours that, the benefits and the happiness of marriage. Mistaken, your name speak for itself, and you don't look stressed, you look happy. I've been on the podcast a couple of times. You always smiling, cheesing, positive, you don't hate men. And and that's positive, and that should be something that you not only hate men shit and angry women, angry men or bitter women, and that's because you're in a happy, stable relationship, and that's the positive thing about it. Let's bring relationship. It's good to be in a relationship. A relationship's supposed to be positive and happy. So, and then in 10 years, I'll be 51. Hopefully, the whole perspective on social media be changed about marriage. Y'all have a good night. I enjoyed this conversation. Y'all
Yeah,
stay
we're going
blessed.
to wrap it up. Thank you so much, 651. Yes, we are about to wrap it up because I know mistaken is on a curfew, honey. That husband got it in check, and she does obey, honey. So I do not. I know she don't want me to be up here by myself, and I thank you very much for hanging in there with me. So same thing with you, Hink, and same thing with you, Saida. And everybody who is in the chat, thank you so much, Miss Parker.
Check to see if there's any more super chats before we go.
Let me see. Yes, we do have a super chat. Let's get that.
Okay, Ennis Luby, 449. Why when a man tells you, I think, no, we read that one already.
Read that one. So awesome. We are, let me just make sure I ain't missed none because you know I be missing. Oh, here's one.
Henry Vaughn, 499. It came out that the woman he had an affair with was the VP wife.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't check that after. I wouldn't check that. So far, from reputable news sources, they aren't given a name. So they just keep saying an employee. So I guess we'll just have to wait around and see. But you know what? This is my thing. If he is not allowed to say who it is, shame. Because if he's gonna be dragged, she need to be dragged too, because she did something wrong. Absolutely, I would not keep that to myself. That's not fair. I agree with the men when they say she needs to be held accountable too. She needs her name to be shamed as well. That's just all I gotta say about that. Anyway, thanks you guys for hanging in there with us, and we will see you
tonight,
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chic Critique. See you later.
All right, ladies.
Good night.